G'day out there. Oh, it's Farmer's Boy. G'day, Farmer's Boy. I'm starting early. I was just going to play a little bit of Cheer Gets while I'm waiting. You're welcome to drop in if you want to. There you are. I can see you now. How are you?
Hello.
How's things?
Oh, let's just mute the YouTube.
Yes.
I'm still getting used to that now. All works properly on this PC. Keep thinking, where's that noise? Oh shit! Yeah, hang on a minute.
I was all queued up, ready to go. So I thought, I'll go stream early. Why not? No one else was here.
No, I noticed you here. I noticed you was here a short while ago, but I thought, no, I better go and get a cup of tea first. And
nah, fair enough.
And the washing machine had gone ping, so I thought, right, I need to sort that out as well. You know, all the mundane shit.
I was going to play Geoguessr, but you're not a big fan of Geoguessr, are you?
Yes and no.
We could play some more of that tank one if you want, because we didn't get far into that one. I could put it on. We could see what we can see. You can see the screen. Anyway,
yeah, hang on. Let me. That's very niche, though, isn't it?
Well, it's only that there's a tank on the screen. It doesn't actually help you find where you are. It's just that.
No.
Where you land there's a tank.
It sometimes gives you a clue, you know. It's a tank.
It's a tank. I think. With quick play, I think I've got to go single player. I think I've got to go. Oh, hang on. Unless you want to join in, but I was just going to put it up. I can set up a multiplayer. I've been playing this map runner lately. Let's just see what we see. Okay. So I can remember how to do. I haven't been in this bit for a while. I've been playing the other one. I think you go up here and type in tanks. And we come down to here because we want to get just maps, not people who have tank in their name.
Yeah, that'd really suck.
World of Tanks, knows photospheres. I have a feeling it was this one. Let's see what that one's got in it. Explored this map, 5 locations. Yeah, there we go. It's 22 locations with map tanks in it. Let's play that, see what pops up. Start game. So how you been otherwise? Ooh, there's a tank.
Technically, that's a tank destroyer.
Okay.
That's an American tank destroyer. Yeah, I've actually had. The running joke is I work from home. Well, this week I have actually worked from home. I haven't been anywhere.
Yeah.
Which has made a bit of a change. But I actually joined the Tartaria Discord server.
Oh right, did you actually?
I haven't posted anything. I haven't gone to the live chat. I'm just lurking in the background because it's very interesting to watch. I just want to see just how batshit crazy the members of that Discord server are.
Yeah,
and they are indeed.
Yeah, I haven't been in there for a while, and they are, yes.
Absolutely batshit fucking crazy, aren't they? They're just complete wackadoodles.
Okay, where the hell?
Hackenberg. Is that alert or la? I can't quite see.
I think it's an L-E. Is Hackenberg, do you reckon it's in France or in Germany? Just sounds like a German name.
No, it's... Oh. I think it's France. Because when I Google it, Hackenberg is part of the Maginot Line.
So that's up this way somewhere. I got 20 seconds. I sort of guess there for a moment. I reckon it's going to be somewhere around here. Where did they land? They landed or up here?
Oh no! It looks like it's just to the southeast of Luxembourg.
Okay. Sorry, I had to push the button. The other I was in trouble.
Okay.
it was there. G'day, Matt. How are you?
I'm not south of Luxembourg. What are you talking about?
No, but Hackenberg is, because he's gone for the Geo thingy with tanks in, and there was a sign that said Hackenberg.
Well, there's a tank.
That's the T-34-85.
That's in a memorial somewhere.
That is most definitely.
Memorial in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. What's the sign say? Cayman. Where's?
Oh, excuse
Cayman?
me.
That sounds.
Kamenin is
in
it's
Slovakia.
northwest of Budapest.
It's here in Slovakia.
Yes, so if you can find Budapest, it's northwest of there, just on the other side of the Danube.
And Budapest.
Budapest.
It's in Hungary.
Pest.
Pest. There's
no, come back.
You said
Stop.
north.
You see where it says Nova? Yeah, there. Where it says Nova.
Clammy.
It's. Oh, excuse me. That's the doorbell. I bet that's the postman.
You're okay. Let's get to it. So, how are you, Matt?
Not bad.
Hey, Dara?
Yeah, I'm not long woken up actually. A bit late.
Okay.
Just waking up today.
Hey Dora, hey Larry, Harry, Zebulon. Sorry, I was too busy looking at tanks. I didn't watch it. Yeah.
Have we just started? Have we, or...
Yeah. I
I
was just playing tanks till people turned up. Well, I was going to play GeoGuessr, and I have this tank map one, which of course is interesting to Farmer's Boy. So every time you start, it starts next to a tank, but then you got to work out where you are.
You got just having fun while I wait to get saturated.
G'day, Alan. How are you?
It really helps if I remember to remove the mute that's on the hardware button on the microphone, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, well that would be easy to forget.
Yes.
That really would.
Because I don't see that on the screen. I have to look at the little dongly bit on the wire.
There's a tank on that bus, Alan.
Yeah, I know there's a tank on that bus, mate. It's another Soviet. Funnily enough, it's another Soviet tank, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
Because we're obviously in Eastern Europe again.
Yes, there's a tank on that bus, farmers.
It's not on the bus.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
No, why not?
I'm trying to work out where we are. I can't type that into Google, what's on the bus, because it's using letters that don't exist in. Any ideas? No. I'm reckoning. Any clues? There's a Soviet, there's Soviet era stuff here.
1947. So, look, Ukraine, Belarus, Moscow, Soviet Union.
Yeah, I gotta fix something. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
43 is more likely to be near Kursk than to be near Moscow.
All right.
No, okay. It's funny. It's funny you should mention Kursk.
It was exactly in Kursk. There you go.
Because I now hold in my hands the Battle of Kursk, 1943, the view through the camera lens by Valery Zamulin. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That's right, Zebulon. Zebulon's got the tracks on the bus go round and round.
Round and round. Oh dear.
Where are we next? Ooh, lots of tanks.
Mm.
Right in my face. Right in my face, even. Oh, why are there flags on the? There should be flags on the thing there.
Are they finished? Are they finished
Yes.
markings by any chance, farmers? They are,
Yes,
aren't they?
that's the tank museum in Finland. I can't for the life of me remember where it is.
What the bloody hell's that thing? The heck is
Which
that
one?
bloody great big thing? To your left there. Just turn left. Turn left. Left. That thing right next to you, right there. No, not no. Well, either one of them. Oh, it's because it's distorted. That's all. It just kind of look absolutely
Right.
massive.
It's the same
Yeah.
as that one.
Because you're right up close to it.
Yeah.
That is the Parola Tank Museum in Finland. It's 110 kilometers south of Helsinki.
Well, Finland's up this
Helsinki.
way. There we are. 110 south, did you say? That doesn't sound right. Which
North,
direction?
sorry, north.
Yeah, I was going to say.
North of Helsinki, yeah.
That's about here somewhere.
Yeah, Helsinki's on the bloody coast. It can't be, yeah. Yeah, it's a place called Parola.
Parola. Parola. Okay.
Oh, hang on.
100.
45 seconds.
Yeah. Somewhere there. But, yeah, look, I'm going to be close enough. Yeah,
Why does
we
it
weren't
keep doing
far
that?
away.
What's that noise?
Ah, it's when you push the button that makes noises. Button
Oh.
Yeah.
noise. It's saying,
Button
"Yay,
noises.
you got an answer." I'm not playing the full game. I'm just playing the casual game. So it's working out where I was. So I was 66 kilometers away from wherever it was. Oh, there's another tank. Funny that, since the whole map is based on tanks.
Oh! I know that tank. Oh
That's a
God,
Tiger,
where's this?
isn't
It's there are something like 2 Tiger tanks that are in public exhibition like this one.
That looks French on that sign.
It is French.
Let's go down this sign. Okay, where's that? Velda Vinverigne. I have no idea what that is. Definitely French.
Yes, that is known as the Vimoutier Tiger tank, and it is. Come on, click on the map. Oh God. Right, do you know where Caen is in France?
This way.
Caen.
That's on the coast.
Caen.
You
Yeah,
can't
Normandy
stand
coast.
We should really.
There's
Normandy,
Caen.
yeah.
There's I see Caen. No,
South of
the Normandy
Calais.
coast.
I don't know
Right
where
on the Normandy,
coast is.
just inland from the Normandy beaches.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Down a bit.
It's
Down.
not-
No,
That's
down.
Calais.
Keep
Down.
going.
There
keep going,
you
keep
go.
going.
No,
No, you saw it. Just
Down
then.
more.
Down a bit more.
Down.
Left. Down a bit more. Down. Keep
Oh,
going. There you go. Down
Caen.
there. There you go.
There's Caen.
Yeah.
There's Caen there.
That's
look.
inland. Right.
That's Caen, yeah.
Now this place is inland southwest a bit.
Okay, this way.
Inland from Caen.
In the Villers Bocage.
Village
Where's
Bocage.
Bocage? Down there.
In that
No,
area, yeah.
it's not. It's not a place. It's just an area. Oh, there you go.
There we go. It was over there.
Yeah.
It was in.
I thought you said southwest, not southeast.
You did say
Oh, sorry.
southwest. You did say
I did say
southwest.
sorry. Yes, my fault.
which
And
is
the
why
real
I kind of figured
I
Village
obviously
Bocage,
need
where
more.
And this is the funny thing.
I
It's just
obviously need more tea.
3 British people
You're
yelling at me
getting your
as
points.
though
To come.
yell at me as though I know where Normandy Coast is, because
Did you not?
Well, I know.
How can you not know where the Normandy coast is?
I know it's that
Yeah,
way
well, he's
from-
not even European, is he? So you can't.
Well, yeah, I
you know,
suppose.
Like-
you can't help it.
I
Like I know.
just wanted to point
they
out
went,
to,
they went from
to-
here and they tacked down here somewhere. That's about it.
Yeah.
Not just those Dad's Army's arrows, big arrow going this way.
Yeah, I suppose.
and I suppose we better tell Zebulon that the world's biggest tank battle ever took place in Kursk,
Yes,
Yeah,
which we mentioned earlier.
yes.
yeah.
in
There
the
hasn't been
southwestern
anything.
Soviet Union.
There was nothing bigger before that tank battle, and there hasn't been anything bigger since. I don't think, is there? No, there hasn't.
No, it's
But,
appropriate that
yeah.
you can see Wales at the top there, because Kursk covered the Kursk battlefield was about the same area as Wales,
Yeah, it's a huge area.
Yeah.
which shows you just that was pretty much the area that the Battle of Kursk took place in, which shows you just how massive it was.
Which is all in this area here. Yeah.
Yep, all in that area. Yeah. It was,
I think
it was.
that was the last round, so that's it. I think we'll put it away. A few results. Look, I got 1,300 points. There you go. There. Let's switch out of there. How are you, Paul? I saw you sneak in there.
I'm good.
Show my screen. Have I exited that? I have. Good.
You're all individuals. I'm not.
I'm not.
I'm not. I don't know. Well, I was going to ask you about the space race, Matt.
Space race?
Space race.
What space race?
The space race for
You mean
space race?
To get
You mean
his,
Starship?
his Starship to
Starship.
go to space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it
yeah,
launched.
There was a
Did
launch.
There
Yeah, it
was
was
a
a
There was a
launch.
launch. There was a launch. And then beyond that, well, no, that didn't happen. But it launched. It flew.
Yes.
At least they got data. That's all they needed. Flight data. Because I mean, if you think about it, before, I mean, everybody's saying, "Oh, it was a big disappointment" and stuff like that. And blah. Well, no, because basically, the SpaceX didn't have any flight data for the booster and Starship combined. They just didn't know how it could fly, and the only thing they really had was like I suppose, a mathematical model. So really, anything that, as the commentator said in the thing, was that anything launching, getting off the ground is golden. It's like icing on a cake. So now they've got data. Okay, so now they can figure out what went wrong. They think they know what went wrong now, and they can sort it out, as well as repairing the damage that was done.
Yeah, they might actually need to build a proper launch pad.
Well, I mean, they do.
I can see how they lost some of those engines on takeoff, because the amount of shit that must have been blasted back up towards them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, that's probably why they lost 3 engines right at the start, and they think the speculation that it might have damaged the power pack to the separation hydraulics. So that might have occurred as well. As well as damage to at least 3 of the engines. I mean, we lost another 3 engines after that during the flight. So again, that could have all been damaged from the launch.
Yeah, I think they got up to 7, didn't they? I think it was 7 they lost.
7,
totally,
yeah,
but
6 or 7, something like that.
6 or
total,
7,
probably,
but yeah, right on the launch had lost 3. But then when you look at the photos of where that framework was, where it took off from, it's like you just set it up in your backyard, didn't you? Basically,
Yeah.
it's like there was nothing to protect it underneath.
Yeah, Paul. Sorry, I mean Timbo. Rather than go to that one, if you go to, I sent you some messages,
Oh, you
some
did.
bits
Hang
and
on.
pieces in.
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
I just left that one up there for a sec while I go. Look. In DM or in Facebook?
Yeah, and you didn't know DM.
Oh
in
yeah,
the
well
DMs.
I've got your test one and the one image of.
Yeah, if you play the actual launch first. Oh yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah, that was the image you sent, and this I think is. But it's not the one. That one. That's your launch. Oh, that's not the video you sent me though. I just keyed that one up. That was from your original live stream. Was that what your other one was?
Yeah. So I thought maybe we just have a look at the launch again. It'd be nice. Wouldn't it? So if you go to if you go to about 1 hour 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Not the T minus. The actual video time.
That's just a bit further.
That'll give you the terminal. That'll give you the terminal count.
Okay. Well, they show. Oh, that's the promo stuff on the front there.
Just a bit before 107. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You're going to be a bit. No.
Let's hit the button there. And see
Starbase, Texas.
I'll turn it off for a
Oh,
second.
that was loud.
Oh yes, that's when they give it the go again, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah, you go. Yeah, okay, that's all right. That's close enough. They're just about
Yeah,
to
it's
stop.
close enough.
There you go.
You want the sound?
Turn it down a bit, maybe.
No video on YouTube, Timbo.
Whoop, stop.
Pause that then.
Pause that one. Yeah, it should be on YouTube. Should be on YouTube.
Okay.
It is now.
Oh, well,
Okay.
It wasn't when Alan said it, though.
it probably wasn't. I'll just get rid of that. Just having fun. Give me a sec.
What way should you get set to? I can't even say that.
Started it.
Started again. Ah, look, we've got to do a countdown again. Let's go back a little bit.
Oh, you say?
Resume the countdown. It restarts
Yeah,
from the
we
42nd.
can't start from 3.
There you go.
Missed it.
You just started from 0.
Here we go. Getting close. Getting close.
It did seem to take a while to actually get off the pad.
Well.
Tell you what, mute the sound a little bit. It's so loud. Yeah, just mute it. Go on, just mute it. It's too loud.
Too loud. You can't
Right,
talk over it.
When it gets to about 13 seconds, just pause it for a second. T plus 13 seconds. Yeah. Tell you when. Hold on a second.
But then?
14. Right. Pause now. I see the bottom left.
Yeah.
But you got those symbols.
Really
That
lost
shows you
3.
which engines. So straight away, it lost 3 engines, and I'm kind of not surprised, to be honest with you, because I mean, there's nothing to deflect
Same
the exhaust at all. So yeah, immediately there's already 3 engines already gone straight away. So during the flight, what you notice is that it does go at a bit of a strange angle. So what it looks like it's doing is the rocket is not quite on its right trajectory, and it's trying to sort of put the gimbal of the engines are trying to push it back onto its right trajectory by the looks of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of not all that doing well. But again, you know, they got flight data anyway, so it still flew, it's still launched.
Yep.
The most powerful rocket in the world. I mean, there's 17.1, I think it's 17.1 million pounds of thrust
Right.
underneath those engines, bouncing off that concrete. No wonder
Off
there's
the
a bit
concrete,
of a hole.
yeah. I mean, bloody hell.
Did I hear
So
somewhere
officially,
Go on.
go on.
I was going to
Go on.
say, I thought I heard somewhere that it was twice as much thrust as they needed for launch to space or something like that. I don't know if that was
So
right, but
almost twice as the amount of thrust of the Saturn V.
Well,
So,
more than
yeah.
twice. Saturn V hit 7.5 million.
Oh, was it 7? Oh, more than twice then. Oh, there you go. I thought it was 9.5 million. I've got it into my head. 7.5 million. Yeah, more than twice then. Yeah. Yeah, so you can kind of imagine why they ended up with a bit of a hole underneath it.
yeah. And I did see because I was watching the engines over here and seeing them change as they went up.
Mm.
Gets a bit wobbly there. Yes, obviously the blast must have hit the camera.
Yeah.
Well, or it sort of was going through the haze, but yeah.
I buggered up the stream a bit. I left that. I was so excited. I left that flipping
that
chat
was
pop up by Kevin Conrad.
That's why.
For the
That's
whole
why.
Oh, yeah.
Listening to your stream was good because you had some voiceover and quite
Yeah, I
enthusiastic.
didn't realise. Yeah, I didn't realise I actually had my mic still on. That's why you could hear me. I got a bit excited.
Yeah, see, there's another engine down the bottom. It's just turned off.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah,
There's
and
another
another one.
one.
There you go.
Another one's gone.
So that's 6 altogether, isn't it? 4, 6. Yeah.
Didn't they have that shit?
Now, but when you look at that, you can see that there are
Yeah.
the rockets on the outside ring that have gone. There are at least 2 pairs. You can see. So you can see there's 2 pairs gone, and at the
There you
top there's a pair
Yeah.
gone. So that's 5 on the outer ring, whereas the schematic's only showing 4 on the outer ring. So yeah, I think they lost at least
Schematics are
7.
wrong. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So
But
as a
that just
balance,
could be, telemetry feed or something.
multi tum tum, you got to have the fuel. You got to take things up to space, get in the.
Yeah,
So-
and this is what Scott Manley pointed out. I mean, he said, like I said, is that the rocket was kind of like the direction of travel was slightly off from its attitude. So exactly what he said, he was trying to compensate. The engines were gimbling to try and compensate for that, to try and push it back toward where it's supposed to be going. You don't really see that until a little bit later on when you get like a shot from underneath.
It was when they showed that the shots inside the second stage and nothing happened.
Yeah,
That's when you start to say,
Right.
something wrong here.
Well, it as soon as it starts to just tumble,
you
because
can kind of
obviously
see it a little
it
bit
was
there.
supposed
Like,
to tip over, but it's
You can see the altitude,
you can
not
see
the altitude, the
going by the vapor. You can kind of see the direction of travel it's going on, and it's the rocket's just sort of at a weird angle. And see that flame as well. That's
that weren't right.
Yeah, that one right. That's a thing of
That flame there.
the engines shutting down. Yeah, some of the engines shutting down. They think that's a sign of that as well. So there could have been more that shut down than he actually showed on the telemetry. So there could have been even maybe many as 8, maybe 8 or 9 even.
It wasn't working great at this point. But this is the shot I said, is that because they flicked to this because that's when they should be igniting, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
at that point, you should have stage separation, shouldn't you?
Yeah, and it's not occurring. Well, I mean, Scott Manley was basically saying that that it wasn't the separation wasn't supposed to occur until a little bit later. See, it's actually starting to tumble now. He thinks that's more to do with lack of control rather than it wasn't supposed to actually separate until about 40 kilometers. So notice you're about 31 kilometers according to telemetry there.
Yeah.
So he seemed to think that it wasn't supposed to separate until 40 kilometers. So they'd already lost control before separation.
Yeah, because it should have been higher higher by now.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, they would have thought they would have separated anyway. So that's what makes you think there's still some damage to the separation system.
You can see this is when it starts to go a bit awry. It gets really awry. It's starting to tumble.
So what it's supposed to do is do a sort of like a flip, and then separate. So that helps the booster sort of to separate and to sort of get round into its orientation to essentially go back the other way, the booster back burn. But it didn't separate, so it's taken Starship with it as well. On top of that,
well, maybe it was extremely successful because it flipped several times.
Yeah,
it just didn't separate, and it did separate, just not in the way they.
Yeah, into lots of pieces.
Not in the way it was supposed to.
FAA did confirm that they did activate the self-destruct system.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
You would expect.
So you see that in a second. Yeah.
Clearly, it was out of control. All you can do is hit that big red button that says "fuck it."
I hate to tell you, Multi-Tom, they have rockets every week. You just don't see them all.
Yes, I don't know when the next Falcon 9 launch is. There probably is one. It's either going to be this week or next week. There you go. Yeah,
I had a look. It's about a week. Yeah. You just don't see the big ones. Here we go.
There you go. There he goes. It had a RUD.
Yes.
Yes.
Rapid, unscheduled disassembly. Very rapid.
Yes, and there was a flat earther criticising SpaceX and Elon Musk for having to redefine an explosion last night.
G'day, Judy. How are you? Well, they need to define what.
And it's like,
explosion.
and it's. Yeah, well, I mean, clearly the guy had a complete sense of humour failure. Oh, you're now having to redefine what an explosion is. No, as Red's rhetoric pointed out to him, it's what's called a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I did stay up late to listen to that debate. I really wish I hadn't bothered because it was like 2016 called "They Want All Their Flat Earth Proofs Back, Please."
Has SpaceX had any official comment about?
Nothing that I'm aware of. At least I haven't seen anything this morning because I've not looked. I've not long woken up, to be fair. My sleep patterns are all a bit up the shoot. But yeah, pretty much they think it's just damage from the launch. So if you look at underneath the launch mount, so it's literally gone through all of the reinforced concrete right into the foundation.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
I mean, that is phenomenal, isn't it?
Like I said, you can see why 3 engines had failed on liftoff. I mean, the crap that was coming back up from that, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I
can't remember how.
lost almost 10% of your thrust at liftoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it explains why, it looks so slow coming off the pad. But I won't be surprised if you find out eventually that they said, hey, we're not separating this thing because it cannot make orbit.
Yeah. I mean, this is the result of 76 million newtons of force, so it's not surprised it's dug itself a hole through whatever. I mean, the thing that confuses me, maybe Blue, you could perhaps sort of, and Paul, you can shed some light on the situation. Elon Musk said they've got a steel plate that they're going to put underneath there that's cooled by water. I mean, that's fine with heat, but I mean, where's all that energy still going to go though? I don't understand what his intentions is then, though. I mean, surely that's still going to do a lot of damage, though. I mean, they would need a flame trench, wouldn't they? I mean, that would be the solution for me. I don't get it.
Well,
Oh yeah, that's the.
It'll be more difficult to dig a hole in a steel plate than it would be, in concrete for sure.
Yeah, but I thought the whole idea really what they need to be doing. I'll tell you the best thing to do with that footage that you're watching now is put it on sort of like half speed, and you see that car destroyed. Best thing to do is go to my link that I gave you. Is that the link I gave you, Timbo?
It's probably muted.
Oh, I think you're muted.
I'm
Timbo.
muted again. Yes.
Yeah, go to the footage that I gave you. Then you can actually slow it down, and you see the result of that car getting destroyed.
I don't think you go. Oh, there it is up there. Oh, no,
Yeah,
the link didn't work. When I click on it, I get a video unavailable. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I pulled up the. That's why I pulled up the other one.
Oh, okay, right, fair enough. Then. Yeah, that was that car getting. Let's see that car get.
So unfortunately, I can't.
Slow it down. Just boom.
It just hits the back end of that van and boom.
Yeah, so it goes to show I think they grossly underestimated what how much debris was going to spread about the place.
Well, that's because they weren't expecting the launch pad to disintegrate, because that's what's flying.
Not as well. They were, because they knew from the static fire test there was some damage to the pad underneath the launch mount, but not that much. So they knew it was going to be something. They didn't think it was literally going to dig right through the foundations. I mean, it's a bit of a gross underestimation, I think.
I find it a bit interesting because most of the towers I've seen have diversion, like they have chutes. I'm trying to think what they call them.
Flame trench.
Flame trench, yeah, to divert the flame away. And they don't seem to have one on this tower, so.
No, I don't really know why they didn't build one, but I mean, he's doing something anyway. But it'd be interesting.
I bet they do for the next one.
Yeah.
Well, they're not just going to repeat that again, are they?
I mean, anyway, what I was going to say, Blue, was that if they put a steel plate underneath there, but I mean, surely there's going to be some of that force is going to be bounced back towards the engines and towards the vehicle. So I mean, the
flame, the real purpose, at least what I've always understood, for them to have that trench is the deluge of water they put through it, which dampens a lot of the vibration, which can damage the spacecraft.
Yeah. Yeah. So with Elon Musk saying he's going to put a steel plate underneath it, I mean, that still defeats the object, though, doesn't it? Because I mean, with the flame trench, like I said, some of that force has been. That energy has been diverted, but I mean that for me with just a flat steel plate underneath it, that energy is still being bounced back into the engines, though, surely.
Yeah, that reflected acoustic energy is still going to go back into the rocket.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm confused about.
But
I don't understand.
They may not be flat, because you got to remember Elon isn't actually as technical as he likes to make. It may be a dome, or it still might be a steel plate, but it may not be flat. It may be directional. So they may
maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would do.
He's going to be a water-cooled, apparently a water-cooled plate. He described it on Twitter as. So I don't know. We'll see what happens anyway. Elon's
never the technical guy. So he pays other people to be the technical people.
Yeah, it could be. Like you said, it could be sloped or something. Maybe who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, but still, in theory, because the trouble with the concrete, it's obviously eroded from the force, and the steel's a little bit more elastic. So maybe that's their thinking.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, he's also tweeted as well. It's quite funny because he says, "Oh, we'll be back to launching in about 1 or 2 months." So translated to Elon's speak, it means it'd be about 3 or 4 months. Yeah, bullshit. 1 or 2 months, my ass.
Yeah, I'd say more like about 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it could be if the FAA are not very happy about it, then yeah, it could be another 1.5 years. Yeah.
The FAA, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, they had a lot of issues with the FAA coming up to this launch, all kinds of different environmental issues and all sorts of different things that they weren't happy with.
Which one was it? I don't know if I've got it. No.
Well, it left FAA's airspace, but
Yeah, it
was not in FAA's airspace for very long. That's for sure.
No, well, it was when it dug that hole.
When it dug that hole, it was still not in FAA's airspace. It was sitting on the damn ground.
Oh, that's
FAA
true.
don't control you on the ground.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
build anything you want to on the ground.
Yeah.
This was a little bit more info. I won't put the audio on, but the showing the damage to the tower.
Yeah,
you can see it
even more so.
in, and then obviously eroded that part of it away.
There's always, I mean, as you can imagine as well, there was also damage to the tank farm. I don't know if they show that as well. I mean, the tank farm was still standing, which I was amazed at. But yeah, all the tanks were kind of all got dents and stuff in them.
Yeah,
not surprised.
Yeah.
Flame diverter parts. Yeah, so that's what I think. That's what they're saying. There's a little bit of.
There you go. You can see
damage.
The dents. You know, they're still there.
I'll buff out.
I'll buff out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll buff out.
Bit of tea cut and a couple of knocks on the hammer.
Bit of Mondo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So. Anyway, I suppose when you got this sort of money to play with,
There it is.
There it is. I think this was underneath. I hadn't seen this shot till I saw this. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is this same launch. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And obviously the end. Everyone. It's always funny. Everyone's happy the rocket's blown up. That was the thing. Everyone's cheering. Oh yeah, the rockets.
Well, I think SpaceX generally they're happy that it flew. That's all they were interested in at this point. You know, they got some data. Like, woohoo, got some data. Wow, let's go. And they can add that. And they can add that. Sorry, go on.
They are an excitable lot anyway, aren't they? Yeah. Particularly when it's a major. I mean, because when they did that first launch of the Heavy, you know, the one with the car on board. I mean, they were all going out of their bloody minds. You know, they are an excitable crowd, shall we say?
Yeah,
they are. Yes.
Some Americans do tend to get quite excited, don't they? No offense, please.
Well, you know, it is a pretty big thing. You got to admit, it's a good. Take advance.
Must admit, I got a bit excited, but not that excited. I wasn't jumping up and down screaming.
No, I still remained firmly sat in my chair. But
yeah, my missus was on the other side of the room as well. If I'd started jumping up and down screaming, I think she would have thought something was wrong. So.
I mean, it was still quite a moment. I mean, not as much as watching the two boosters land from the first Heavy launch. That was, I did have a certain a well of emotion at that point because that was just quite incredible to watch. But yeah. Watching that take off, it's like, yes, it's got in the air, and then it was like, oh well, never mind. At least it took off.
No, I was excited about the two boosters landing, but I was a little bit more excited about this thing flying, to be fair. I don't know. I think it's because I've been waiting, for like 1.5 years or so for this thing to fly.
And then it didn't fly last week, so yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
this kind of concept's not all that different from what the Russians were trying with their manned moon missions
right
back in the 60s, which didn't make it off the pad and ended up killing about half their damn rocket scientists. in engineers.
Or was that
What
the
was that,
N1?
the-
The N1.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
largest non-nuclear explosion.
Didn't I think the first attempt blew up on the launch pad right enough, and literally, oh no, that was the second attempt. I think the second attempt literally destroyed the launch facility that it was on. So they moved in the third one. They moved it to another one and launched it from there. But the first one blew up during the flight, and the third one blew up during the flight as well.
One blew up on the pad and killed
Yeah,
a shitload of people.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Massive explosion.
So kudos to Elon for not killing any of his people. That was that was rather fortunate. But I think the takeaway is when you reach the bottom of the rocket, that's where you tell all your aerospace engineers to shut the fuck up, and you get yourself a structural guy and a civil guy that knows something about concrete and dirt.
Well said. Yeah, well said.
That's right. Have the right people doing the right thing.
Because that looked like a boneheaded design to me from day one.
Yeah, I gotta admit, Blue, I gotta agree with it. Gotta agree. Yeah, something like that kind of crater is what it created. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened when you have a 2,000-pound warhead on the nose of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, it's not gonna work.
Oh, look, I can hover. I'm not supposed to, but I can.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Duck.
Duck.
No, damn.
Shit.
Yes.
They did really blow the buggery out of Peenemund, didn't they? Before we blew the buggery out of it.
Oh, they
Yes.
did, actually.
Yes, I mean,
With
we kept
6.7
sending
and
bomber
9
missions to. Yeah, we kept sending our bombers over to destroy them. It's like, no, just leave the Germans to it. They're doing a stand-up job all on their own.
Yeah.
Yes, you think a launch tower might have been an idea at some point, but
No, they never used a tower. Not for the
No.
V2.
no.
It was always launched off a little pad.
Yeah, well, it's equivalent to a little bottle rocket compared to that thing Elon built.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. These aren't big.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they're not. Well, they're relatively not big.
yeah.
It's still quite a size when you go and stand next to one, though.
It's the single engine
Yeah.
too, aren't they? Yeah.
That's it. Well, it's just
Yeah.
showing how it
Yeah,
steers.
wasn't
So they've got these carbon fins that stick out into the exhaust flume, and they swivel and they steer the rocket. And whose shape is a scaled up bullet fired from the German rifle, because that was the most aerodynamic shape they knew.
Got
But yes, it
pointy
had.
end.
Pointy
Yep,
end.
it had graphite carbon vanes that moved in the rocket stream, and that's how it steered it.
I was showing it earlier. Yeah.
I think an awful lot of his design work was pinched from the American Goddard.
Steering is with a lot of these shots a bit of a questionable term.
Yeah. Well, they got it in the end because they lobbed enough of the damn things over here.
How many actually made it over there in the end? There wasn't as many. Obviously, they had a lot more of the buzz bombs, but
Several hundreds. There were at least hundreds that landed on.
Yeah,
gotta go.
more like 1,000 of them.
Oh, just did a quick Google, getting on for 1,400.
1400
So
feet
yeah,
depth.
quite a few. Yeah, quite a few. I mean, the V1s. I mean, even more. But you know, they were obviously easy to produce, smaller. They could just keep lobbing them over there when we hadn't sort of blown their launch ramps up.
Yeah. Obviously, that's probably Nuremberg. Oh, I don't know. A bit hard to say.
I mean, if anybody got
British, yeah. Sorry, gone.
Oh, yeah.
anybody that got it was in direct hit from one of those things in London. I mean, they, gladly they probably didn't know anything about it because they wouldn't have heard it.
That was the problem with the V1. You knew it was coming.
Yeah,
they didn't call it the buzz bomb for nothing. You could hear it, and when it stopped buzzing, it was coming down. The V2, you didn't know it was there until it had hit and blown up. Yeah, there was no warning. You didn't hear it coming.
Yeah, mercifully, it's probably best for the people who got a direct hit.
No.
Who knew nothing about it.
Yeah. Then they got them over White Sands. This is the American test. So.
Yeah.
Bloody
Shit.
Yep, that's what it's supposed to do.
That's cruise missile, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's they invented the cruise missile.
There you go, exactly like the German films. Yes. Oh yeah, we got it.
And if you watch the modern Russian
we got
rockets,
this.
they launch vertically, and then they have another rocket in the nose that pushes it over.
You could kind of almost like see the chat in the Americans like, is it supposed to do that? Oh yes, that's normal. Yes,
Yeah, that's the way it works.
this is normal.
That's it. Perfect.
This is what it is supposed to do all the time.
You've probably seen this one. This tube's been going around for a while. It's a flat Earth one. Well, flat Earther one. Come on. There we go. This guy. Rockets push off in air.
Moon huggers.
Oh, you haven't done this one?
Oh, there it is.
I'll turn him up a bit. I'll speed him up a little bit.
I
Rockets
probably
push
have.
off
I probably
air.
have seen this.
It doesn't need to push off anything.
Yeah.
Jesus, some point the video does not start with experiment, but with a response to the experiment. It turns out the response to the video answers the main objection as to why the original experiment was successful. Okay.
Oh,
Do rockets push off air or in ordinance with Newton's third law of motion? Correct. Right.
there's a bloke playing with a Hoover.
Yeah. Sucks the air away from the rocket.
What is this proof?
This is disproving the next video. So. I forgot this was at the start. Sorry. Would make more sense if I show you the. Actually, what am I looking at? Yeah, this one was the one.
Wait.
Okay, it's the sort of thing I used to build as a kid. And what?
Ah, you'll see in it. Okay.
Significantly slower. In fact, it couldn't even propel itself off of our testing surface. So, that was 2 tests with the weight.
Oh, yeah, I
Test
remember
again
this.
For 3. Four. And finally 5. So, we know for a fact that it can move itself forward by using just the force of this balloon. So, what happens when we introduce our vacuum to the back of it? So, test number 1. Oop.
Still works.
Movement was still observed. Test number 2. Movement was still observed. I did notice it was a little bit slower than without the vacuum. Test number 3. Movement was still observed. Seemed to be about the same distance as without the vacuum. 4.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me know what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Very loud.
It is. I'm just getting rid of that.
Bloody hell.
So,
This proves that rockets must push off air. No, they don't.
So I think if you look at, I'll just go back to test 6.
Well, it proves that thrust reversers on commercial jetliners work perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that one that he's, saying it. That's the final proof, Even though the first few, it actually moves. I remember when I first looked at it.
So he's trying to prove that rockets actually push off air, is he?
Yes, and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the little, yeah.
So what about when they're actually in a vacuum then?
Well, that was, as you know, when you do a test in a vacuum and prove it, but the other people are saying that it doesn't work in a vacuum. But
Well, so what's his point then? I don't understand what he's trying to get at. So surely he knows that rockets engines work in a vacuum, but
No.
he's trying to say the rocket engines push off air, but they
You
don't.
you do know there is a group of flat earthers that say that the rockets don't work in a vacuum.
Yes, I know. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's saying that rockets do work, but they push off air.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So when they get out of the atmosphere, what are they doing? So he's not proved anything, is he? That's what I'm trying to say. It's completely.
Oh yeah. I agree. He hasn't proved anything, but I'm just saying that he's.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. He hasn't proved a thing. Nothing.
Yeah, this video just gets to prove it, but that's going around.
Rockets doesn't need to push off anything to move. Yeah, well, no,
Yeah.
speaking, it doesn't.
That's the other guy who's disproving this guy. This guy went around for a while.
Right,
I think
okay.
even what's his name did lost my brain. Mental block. Anyway, yes, there has been a few, but anyway, I think there was even a little bit of discussion in Blues Discord about it this week, or last week, sometime. I remember it.
They don't seem to understand that the pressures that occur inside a combustion chamber inside an engine. I mean, it can, depending on the engine, could be several hundred psi to several thousands of psi. I mean, that's where your force is. That's where your pressure is.
Yes. Well, there's that physicist, that flat Earth physicist who said he did it and proved it. Yeah, he's a bit weird.
Anyway,
now time for a get your cup of teas.
Oh yeah, I could do another cup. Yeah.
Well, do a spin first. Let's do a spin first, and then we'll grab a cup of tea.
We'll do our spins.
So we miss at least a couple of minutes of.
And then then I got some
Lindsay.
questions. We'll do some questions after this, but this is let's go. Question. Well, a question.
Do you have questions?
I have a question of the day. I thought I might try and introduce something we could talk about as a topic.
42
Anyway,
Fleetwood Mac.
Not that sort of question. Okay, Matt, you can. I'll go first because that way
All
I
right,
get
then.
a better chance.
Who's going first?
I am. So
Who?
Me.
Oh, you.
Me. So I'll get
Duality.
Duality.
What the hell is duality?
You know when he talks
Duality.
dual space, anything along those lines. Duality.
No, that's duality.
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 It is-
Not
You've written
duality.
It's correct in my phonetics.
Okay. Fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum. Luckily,
Duality.
most
I'm next to mine.
most Aussies spell better than me. Yes, Matt's next.
Who's this, by the way?
You
who's
are, Matt.
this?
This is you.
Taurus
Field.
Field. Oh, that's rubbish. I don't want that one.
Yeah, he didn't
Well,
want.
unfortunately, that's what you're lembered with.
And he didn't want
Hello,
Milky
Lauren.
And he didn't want Millie Way last time either.
No. Or Milky Way. Taurus Field.
Yeah.
That'll do. Right, I'll get my cup of tea now.
Yeah, I've got Milky Way now. Let's go with Alan. Oh, and we've got a black hole. Alan's got a black hole.
Black hole. That's a good one. I should do well with that.
That is a good one, black hole. Yeah.
I don't know. He's still on part 2 of last week, so I don't know.
Oh, in that case, I'm buggered.
Oh, I didn't say who that was. So, anyone want to claim it? Got Blue and Paul.
I'll take
You'll take
Ark
that
of
one?
the Horizon.
You'll
Yeah,
take
I'll
that
have Ark.
That's another usually good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
We'll do that to farmers. Okay. Let's do Blue. Sorry, Blue. This is yours. I'm sure he's already gone off to get something stronger than a cup of tea. Actually, no.
Oh dear.
No, let's not
Oh,
do that.
cold
one.
fusion.
That's a bad one.
No,
Let's not do that.
That's crap. Get rid of that. Do it again. Yeah, cold
Do it
fusion's
again.
rubbish.
Do it again. Do I have 2 tropical caps? No, someone never had tropical cap. Whoa! Oh,
Cliptic. Cliptic plane. That could be, unless he's gone off on one of these religious tirades again. That could be a good one.
Could be one. And we'll do Paul. Oh, yeah, it could be or couldn't be.
Vortex.
That is a winner.
That should be a shoe-in, really. Vortex.
Yeah.
That's everyone, isn't it? I just got the. Did I miss anyone?
One for the peanuts.
Yeah, I was going to do them. I was just checking. I got everyone in here first. So I think we're good. And peanuts, you can have Millie Way. Metaphysics. Nah, we'll give him one. Nah, give him another one. I haven't had metaphysics for a few weeks. What'll be funny is there'll be hundreds of them this time.
Yeah.
Tropical gap for the. Okay, let's put him on. Where are we? Here we go. It's about 24 minutes for those who are planning.
Have you got? Yeah, put it at Lindsay speed. For fuck's sake. Oh, this is a rollover from the other day because there's this alien hanging.
Welcome back to the Tomb of
hanging from the
Illumination.
what's it?
Part 2 of a video I'm doing regarding religion. What's the basis of religion?
Remember, if he only got down to Good Friday, I think. I don't think he even got to Good Friday, so yeah. Well, there's got a question mark next to it. So.
Now, the basis of religion goes right back to a universal divine event, universal divine event. And it's this story is that what we know in as Christians is the Jesus Christ story. But all the cultures had their own. But it all referred to this one particular time in Earth because it's related to the one and only Son. And it's all to do with the Son's analemma. The crossing in the Son's analemma is the whole story of the Jesus dying on the cross. So you have to understand that our earthly realm is connected with the human brain, the human consciousness, consciousness. You see, look, this is like the human brain here. This is just a slice,
Cross section.
Call it a elevation, not an elevation, a slice through the earth. That's the southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere centre. Northern hemisphere centre, the south. You take a slice straight through here, you got the tropics in the middle. But you know, people have to realise this is one image here, as if we could see the whole thing in one go. But
I thought it was going to say
you have to realise that as an overall full plan, the centre is way smaller than out here. That part is different. So you take half that, instead half there. It's not the same out here, is it? In this image.
So would that mean the southern hemisphere is bigger than the northern hemisphere, width-wise?
But you've got to consider it like that, but understand it's like that on a plan, okay? The human brain, both hemispheres of the human brain. You see the gap, the pineal gland is in that, with the Son of Man.
Oh, I took that out.
Earth, it's the sun.
It used to be in the list.
Supposedly the Sun is in the tropical gap in this
tropical
area
gap.
here. And it is, if you understand the whole model, it's all being created, all the energy is being created in here because this is the dielectric. There's the counter forces here, coming over and down, avoiding this area, but it's all this action
Have I won yet?
creates the Sun
No.
in the tropical gap. This is all connected with the human brain. So this is why you have to understand the Sun's
Peanuts is
dilemma
winning.
is connected with man's spiritual enlightenment.
I can't
This
even
whole
remember what I
story,
had.
the most divine one of all,
You have
is the Jesus Christ story in Christianity.
Taurus field.
Hindus have
Taurus field, yeah.
Buddhists have Buddha, and all the other cultures have their own representatives. Shiva and Hindu and that. But this is one we know in Christianity. So check out my first video. We've been over these here.
No, you haven't.
Carry on.
You need...
These divine events. So see, theologians and that, even the Israeli Jews, whatever, they've got it all mixed up, it all confused, misinterpreted. If you read the Desire of Ages or listen to it, it would explain all this misinterpretation stuff. You could probably start at about chapter 7. It's the next 5 chapters or so. They talk quite a bit about the misinterpretations. And so it's all about the one divine event. And it happens because there's only one divine crossing in the sun's analemma. Okay? There's only one analemma across our earth. So anyway, we'll check out the first video, and we'll go on to Lent. 40 days of starving, February and March.
I'm not
Why?
starving.
What are they talking about here? Well, they don't have to do anything because
Fasting.
this is basically they're worshipping an idol. All this religion is worshipping an idol. What does the Bible say? Do not worship an idol. Yet they all worship their Jesus figure, the white dog, the long brown hair. All a load of rubbish, actually. But you have to understand it is the divine event. But Jesus, the image of a man, is just a representation of the man who's going through his event. Every man can go through it. But we're all different. We're all born differently, so we all have different celestial alignments. Where's the sun when you're born? Where's the moon? Where's the moon when you're conceived? What star sign the moon is in at conception? And what phase? You know, it's all about phasing of the moon as well, as to when you will have your enlightenment, what sort of percentage you'll get, what sort of energy you'll get from that
But does the black hole face me when
phase
I was...
in your sign. It's all about, it's the celestial bodies, everyone. It's all different. There's so many variables.
What's the
And
vibe?
planets and star alignments. So the 40 days, this is the 40 days that this person goes into some sort of hibernation. He's going through a psychological change, even physiological, maybe, spiritual, subconsciously, consciously. It's best if he stays indoors for the 40 days till he gets his head around what the hell is going on. Because like I say, it comes like a thief in the night. If you don't understand religion and stuff.
You don't understand.
I mean, you soon will, after this experience, you'll understand what it all means. It's written in the mentioned in the Desire of Ages. He goes through this event, divine event. Then he finds afterwards it is all written. It's basically what the Bible is. It's a manual. And if you go, at the beginning of the Desire of Ages, I think it is, it starts off with this, and people don't see this because this is esoteric knowledge. People don't see. It starts off. His name shall be called Emmanuel, God with us. The light of the knowledge of the glory of God is seen in the face of Jesus Christ. Well, this is at the beginning. This is the event. It starts off here. His name shall be called Emmanuel. But the Bible, the beginning, the Bible, it's Emmanuel. It's a manual for these people.
Sorry. I don't know if anyone's out there's actually listening to that, but that's Golden Lindsay. Emmanuel, so therefore it's a manual.
Only these enlightened
yeah.
people
That's dumb.
will now be able to understand the Bible. They read, they see the esoteric messages there. It's a message you cannot recite. You can explain it, but you can't go and put your finger on it.
You know, none of it was written in English. And Manual wasn't, as a word, didn't actually exist when that was written. But anyway,
It's just not there. It comes from the higher frequencies. It's what God is. And this is open to every man on earth. He has the opportunity to wake up that spiritual connection between him and the greater realm of our earth. Because we're basically living in a brain. All the information is right there.
apparently,
it's there.
Joe, yes.
You have to
that's
open up
right.
mind, and it will just come in.
Living in a brain. Okay.
So you could read something. One of these people could read something. But there's this. It's just the way it's written. It's just godly, like
I
God's
just
word.
love-
It is God's word.
I just love the
Obviously, a man
psychic
must have
thing
written
that
it, wrote it down.
Jesus existed, then the Bible came and
Maybe not. Maybe it just
explained
appeared.
how Jesus
It's like the pyramids.
existed.
They're not
But-
the great pyramids, not
okay,
made
so-
by human hands. And there's a spiritual message with the words. So the average person will just see the words, but the enlightened person will see that will be receiving the message with the words that no common man can get. It's a whole divine story about waking up the dormant brain, the dormant soul. So anyway, he's going to need 40 days in the desert or stay indoors.
Haven't had many
He'll be
black
tempted.
holes, I'm afraid.
The devil
Alan.
will be working with him, trying to work on him.
No, I know.
It's described
Terrible,
in the
isn't it?
Bible. He needs to get his head around exactly what's going on, understand what's happening, and then he'll come out the other side. 40 days later, so the divine day was on the 6th day, so plus the 40 days, 17th day of the second month. Anybody seen that written in the Bible? Go read in the
No.
day. So
It's
the
not
6th
there.
day was on the Wednesday. 3 days later is obviously the Friday. Why is it called a Good Friday? Some people think it's his crucifixion. What's good about that? No, that'd be more like a resurrection, wouldn't it? But anyway, it all happens on the same day.
Because
He
that's
dies
when
and
the
is
good
reborn on the one day,
news
this
was
day here,
revealed.
when the
That's when
moon,
Good
when
Friday
it's just
comes.
Passover, in man's hour. It all happens. Then he goes on and starts building on everything, on all the information, all the knowledge that's coming through to him. He's basically now a messenger. This man is the messenger. This is what they call Mercury the messenger, because Mercury is in the alignment where it cancels out the sun to create the solar eclipse. So if we refer to the full solar eclipse, which was 17
There you go. I've got a question about solar eclipse now, so now you know how it happens. So.
days before the 6th of September, 21st of August, the alignment cancels the frequencies out. The moon, Mercury, cancels out the sun, the light of the sun in that particular direction, magnetic field line, because it's obviously daylight in the other parts of the world, isn't it? It's just that certain area at that particular time. Isn't it? Something like that. So there's this basically the non-physical spiritual Mercury messenger, and the physical, the man, the enlightened one down here, is now a messenger. He becomes a messenger. He can receive the information other people cannot do, common man cannot do. You call it this guy, he's the immortal one now. So it's the mortal. He becomes immortal. So a mere mortal cannot receive what this man is getting. He's a messenger. He is the witness, as it says in the book. I'm a witness, so he can go out and explain it all to you. Just like what I'm doing. Roman, Saturnia. They celebrate Saturnia. Why? This is their winter. But I've done the research. 23rd of December was actually the moon in Pisces. But Saturnia is about Capricorn.
Pisces.
December solstice. So this is what this is about. It's December solstice.
It's not
This is the physical
Saturnia,
birth.
it's Saturnalia.
Spiritual birth
Yeah,
is the
I know.
moon sign. It is conception.
Can't even
Whatever
get that
was
right.
Conception comes around again.
Gets all of his
becomes
words wrong.
The day of the spiritual
Yeah.
enlightenment. And there's a 9-month separation there too. Down the bottom you have Capricorn. So he's physically born in Capricorn. Look, these all
Getting his
the
mucking words
Physically born in
muddled.
Capricorn. Conceived in March, Aries maybe. Aries.
Aries.
And then on this side over here, September, this card, it's a spiritual awakening. It's the 6th of September.
Is he all in the muck and
This is the
fuddle?
most divine one. Everybody
Yeah.
else is different. It's according to their moon sign at conception.
It's under the affluence of alcohol.
So he's got the 3 cardinal direction right, but he's missing this one here, which is probably something to do with the cornerstone the builders rejected, but that would be a totally different story to what I've put in my previous videos.
It would be.
So he needs to keep himself for 40 days to get his head around this. No one's going to understand him. They'll think he's going mad.
When has your personal
Okay.
consistency ever mattered
No,
to
go
you
back down here.
before?
Yeah, that's right.
Saturn, that's running to celebrate this period. Why that period? Because they know it's the one divine story the whole world knows about or knew about. It's all written. Jesus, the Jesus story. Okay?
No, it's not.
December, he's physically born in December. We say the
Yes,
25th. Well, it could have been the
before
23rd actually. But
What a
thereabouts,
nut job.
Capricorn and the
It
solstice
is a
period.
little bit.
And this is another reason why the theologians all get confused with December and March. You know, because Jesus was born here, but he was conceived in March here.
Yes.
Okay? So a lot of this story about this and this divine awakening, they put over here into March. Because they don't know, they don't understand this non-physical story, this one here. But this side here. Moving on. So we have May Day celebrations. Well, that's the beginning of spring, isn't it? The Northern Hemisphere spring. So this is a new year for all the cultures. Their new year was
May Day is mostly religious. I don't think so. Not in any religion I know, except for communism. Anyone else can tell me otherwise?
in the beginning of spring. New growth, newborns, it's the beginning of life. Why would you celebrate a new year in the middle of flipping winter like the silly people in New Zealand think the Maoris did? Celebrating Matariki Day in like the beginning of their year. It's a load of rubbish. For a New Zealander anyway, down here in the Southern Hemisphere. But maybe it might have something to do with their culture originally, further north, maybe. I did a big post on that once. It was a long time ago and put it on Facebook, so I don't think I'd find that again. I explained the whole thing. Even the Maoris wouldn't understand it. They don't know this stuff. Even the Iliad, the
knows from
the
Maoris
Maori knows the Maori haka. Slapping the thighs. That's mentioned in the Iliad. That thigh stimulates
What?
your sacrum. Basically,
Uh-oh.
that's all to do with the Kundalini.
Uh-oh.
Basically,
What a
Kundalini,
total
or
nutty
down
load of
there.
absolute
They used to call it- that was called the third
quadrology.
leg. That's actually the third leg. Is
Yeah.
your sacrum and your coccyx, not the old male thing. Anyway, May Day celebrations at spring. You have the Germans celebrating Oktoberfest. What's that all about? It's all to do with alcohol and that. Early September, 6th of September, because it's to do with the elixir in the spiritual awakening story. The adrenaline or something that
What?
flows through the man's body in this hour when it's all happening. And this is triggered something in his
Elixir.
brain which released the fluid. It's released the fluid and it's created a mix between the fluid, whether you call it brain fluid, water, or oil from the glands, the pineal gland or something, mixes with the blood.
Oh, or something.
Or something.
This is why the story mentions the red
He's
wine.
just not made that
Get
bit
wine
up.
from red wine.
No.
It's
yeah.
what it's all about. It's basically adrenaline because
Well,
it comes
how
from the
is-
same part of your brain where the
how is
adrenaline
getting
glands, all that
October
sort of action is
into-
going on in the middle of the brain.
Into this
The
side.
pineal gland region. Pineal gland region. In the top of your center of your brain's got this thing that looks like this. There's an arc. All inside this special place in here, the IRR and etc. Christians don't like to talk about because they've been so indoctrinated. If they taught all this stuff right from the beginning, they'd understand reality instead of worshipping all this rubbish. Check out the earlier video.
I was going to say, that's actually
So,
all this
Oktoberfest, the drink,
that
the
you're
alcohol,
saying.
with a good feeling really. Not getting drunk. I don't recommend getting drunk. You're not supposed to get drunk in that once you've been working up. So,
There you
this
go.
is
So
the divine
there's
man that must go on.
not
and
allowed
help
to
his
get
brother
drunk
explain
anymore because
things.
you're woken up.
He's not to get drunk.
according
It
to
sort of
Lindsay.
ruins his spiritual.
Oh, no.
spiritual energy and
Only flat earthers,
he
because
won't gain that
those that
Oh,
have
that's
been
right.
like
spiritual knowledge that's coming through him. That sort of thing. And it's also connected with the woman,
I'll
physical
drink some.
woman, excreting your sexual energy as opposed to your spiritual energy.
At
That's why they make out
Oktoberfest.
the woman is bad for man. Bad for this man.
Christ, I'd never dare do that. I'd kill
Losing his
myself.
spiritual energy down at the bottom.
Yeah.
That way, he wants you to use it this way. And this is also connected to where the monks, where that thing comes, all that history comes from. Monks living by themselves, being celibate and all that. It's because they've been unified. The spiritual feminine side has come into them. So some people just call that God. It is God. God's in you, but it's the spiritual
Is he?
singularity. It's when the man gains his
He might have
spiritual
kissed me
feminine
first.
side that comes into him. He now longs for nothing. He doesn't have to go searching for a physical woman.
Must be why there's a bit of
Well, I'm sure he's going to still want to have the old.
hanky-panky amongst the monks.
But he's one. It's unification. Unified. Singularity. It's a divine spiritual tale. Hard to explain, actually. So this is what
Well,
it's all
enough
about.
ago.
Elixir. Bloke, there was
Oh,
something I was
maybe
going to
not.
mention about this, but I forgot.
What else can I make up?
So it's all about the sun
Shit.
and the moon. There's the crossing.
Has he been playing? Has he been playing Hangman or something?
What can I say? I haven't got much.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
This is his cross. This is his. You probably might have missed this last week. This is the equivalent of the Jesus's cross, and Jesus is actually the
I'm getting ready on my mind.
what do you call it, Elemento?
Yeah, but
Six
that
days
looks
and
like
40
a
days.
Hangman game, though. doesn't it?
Yeah,
Doesn't it
is.
just?
But that's what he's saying. Jesus was hung on the cross. So he's saying the Alemannia is Jesus, and it was hung on the cross at the crossing of the Alemannia. That's what he said last week. It was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Absolute-
I remember now.
Yeah.
After 6 days, 17
What
days,
about
second
a
month,
load of
the Bible. The
rollicks?
6 days was the Wednesday.
Yes.
The 3 days later was Friday. In the tomb for 3 days. So the moon, sun and moon are in the Milky Way for 3 days before the sun.
Doesn't he know that the months came after Jesus? Anyway, go.
And the Milky Way moves on ahead.
The final version.
Probably
I
not.
could be wrong. No.
The moon came out of Pisces on the Friday, out of the tomb, the Milky Way. Understanding it can only come down this way. So it's September the 6th. It's going into the spring of the southern hemisphere.
So just remember that's September the 6th. Yet all this happened way back in March. Anyway,
It does not go this way. There is no crossing before the
Yeah.
spring. That's the equinox there. So he's already come into spring, and then if you're coming this way from the northern winter, spring's there. The cross is way up here.
no,
No.
Frigid
Only this way.
doesn't like
This is where we come into
Freemasons.
the
Tom,
369,
Tom.
Tesla's 369. Because the full moon was at 303, and this is the 6th day, and it was the 9th month, September. Jesus arrived at 30. Half an hour later, it's 3:33. He's gone by 33. Look at that.
What? What's he on
Man's
about?
hour is the alignment, but from what I gather, the event is.
It's like, it's like I want to arrive at this number, so I'll start at this number and I'll just add whatever gets me to the point where I want to be. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
half an hour long. The man's experience is half an hour long. And when he goes through this experience, this is when he stands there and
What
takes a big breath,
experience?
the breath of life. And as he takes that big breath, the word that comes out of his mouth is hallelujah. Hallelujah. That's for that's a
What?
divine word. Hallelujah.
What?
Hallelujah.
Takes half an hour to say it, apparently.
Blimey.
You won't get this information anywhere else. It's probably
No,
a world
good.
first.
No, I'm not.
You
No.
can play with the picture sold if you want. You just stay lost.
That's
Stay in
good.
your lowest sacrum, your lowest point, Kundalini. But if you want to learn the truth, you want to start
Video
listening to
show
what
notes.
I've been saying, looking at my videos, understanding the flat earth system, why it's connected with the human brain, why you're being deceived, why your life is a lie, built on lies, who runs the system, why they're doing that. It's to stop you from getting up to their level. Because the evil people that run the system, they know this stuff, but they never went through the divine event. They've just come in the back door
You're not
somehow.
one of them, are you, Lindsay?
Maybe tortured it out of people thousands of years ago and it's come through their bloodlines and they just stay up there because they know the information. I don't know. But they're not godly. There's no way.
I don't know. I'm just making this shit up
The
as I go along.
genocidal freaks that run our world would have gone through this loving experience. That would be like saying Jesus going out and shooting everybody, murdering everybody, dropping bombs on everybody.
Make sure
no,
family's not
no
home.
way we'd do that. Anyway, that's all I have on my mind. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching.
Quick, they're coming.
Spread the good news. It's a real thing.
Anyway.
God is out there. You have to open your mind and let it all come in.
You just told us not to, but it's not God. It's our own experience.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to let any spirit come in me. Sorry, no, it's not going to happen. Excuse me.
I've got no problem with spirits inside me. I've still got several bottles downstairs.
Yeah. Oh, Spirit of Jesus. Spirit of Jesus is definitely not going to come.
I ain't got a bottle of that. No.
Nah.
No, Jesus.
Can I just say, Multi Tom Tom, go learn your fucking Morse code, will you? I was crying for help.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I wasn't leaving spaces between them because you don't normally, and thanks to the way YouTube seems to do the characters in it. They turn the dash. They join the underscores all together, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So I was ... SOS.
Yeah, but I figured anybody who knows anything about communications would still know the Morse code for S and O.
OS, yes.
Oh, and
Oh, magic world of.
Right.
Sorry, go on, keep going, Alan, keep going.
I was just going to say, Multi Tom Tom, if you'd like to, I'm still quite happy to talk to you about radio navigation systems. Like you agreed to 6 years ago, and then kept running away.
Yeah, I'll see if he responds.
I'm sure Timbo would host it for us.
Yeah, we can do it here if you want. That's fine. Not a problem to me. Now, I was going to try something out. I haven't tried. I was trying to pick a question of the day so we can have a chat. Not that we don't have chats anyway, but I just happened to pick eclipses because we've just had an eclipse. So I thought.
Well, you might have done.
We had an eclipse, yes. I thought I might put on. Where's Wally's one? It's about. Well, I think it's only about 2 minutes. Just
All right.
as an intro. Loud. Why are we so loud?
Everybody, where's Wally here? Well, today, the 20th of April 2023, saw a rare hybrid eclipse. Now, add to that fact that most of the eclipse path was over water, it was really hard to see a really rare eclipse. Yeah, not quite like that, I meant. So I was watching my little buddy, Himawari 8, and it looked rather impressive to see a solar eclipse from geosynchronous orbit. I mean, I just loved watching how that shadow races across the planet. Himawari 8, it never disappoints.
Sorry.
Even has the specular highlight, just perfect. Now I know some fatties are saying already that that reflection...
Sorry, I stuffed up. No, can't see that out in Peanut Gallery. Sorry about that. So you may have guessed that he's basically talking about how the eclipse went over the Australia and mostly over the water, and how he's was watching on Himawari. So that's where we're up to for those out in Peanut.
And it looked rather impressive to see a solar eclipse from geosynchronous orbit.
There goes shadow.
I mean, I just loved watching how that shadow races across the planet. Himawari 8, it never disappoints. It even has the specular highlight, Just perfect.
There it goes.
Now, I know some flatties are saying already that reflection's in the shadow. Well, of course, it's still visible in the penumbra, isn't it? The path of the total eclipse was actually really narrow because, remember, it was a hybrid eclipse, and that path was only 49 kilometres wide at its widest. And it was only lasting 61 seconds. So that means that the flatties who think the specular highlight should not be very bright, ironically, are not too bright, because the penumbra is only a partial blocking of the sun. So reducing something that is really bright can still leave something that is just rather bright. It's not that hard. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
An inconvenience.
Thanks, guys. Click, like, subscribe. Upvote, downvote. Whatever. Do something. Tell your mum. Thanks, guys.
Tell your mama and your papa.
I like Where's Wally because, I mean, Where's Wally goes a long way out of his way to actually prove things. He's really good at sort of like investigative. Is that the word?
Investigative
kind of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Really good. I love the way he does stuff. Really.
I don't know
Maybe.
if this bit from Mike Jones was for another video that he got left in there or what. But yeah, I know it was.
Because I mean, he took some images from various different sources and then compared them the cloud patterns from other sources on a particular date. And there's not many that have the patience. I certainly won't have the patience to do that. So yeah.
That Mike Jones thing will have been left in there because Mike Jones is pretty much Where's Wally's chew toy at the moment.
yes.
He is a bit, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, that's what I wondered. He just didn't mention it because that's stuff I've seen up on Blue's Discord server. So yeah.
So anyway, this Red's Rhetoric debate last night, I missed pretty much all of it. Did Red's Rhetoric pretty much chew him up and spit him out again? Did he?
It was very bizarre because the chap he was debating, I can't remember what he calls himself now. He basically said, I approach this from a philosophical point of view, and I thought, hello, this doesn't bode well.
God.
And then all of the so-called arguments he put forth are things that we've heard for many, many years. I mean, everybody was saying, hello, we've gone back to 2016. The horizon rises at a high level, and there's no such thing as gravity. It's all explained by density and buoyancy and blah blah blah. And all the way through, he wasn't addressing points that Reds had made. He was addressing other stuff, and he kept saying, "I'm not religious, but basically God did it, and that there's a creator, and that's not how you spell eclipse." And it was it really was painful to listen to, and he was countering arguments that Reds didn't make in the first place, and it's just a load of shit, really. But it did only go on for a couple of hours, maybe. But the problem was, it was hosted on. God, what's the guy's name? It was a flat earther that hosted it who loves the sound of his own voice, and that was quite painful to listen to. So it wasn't exactly a neutral setting.
He hosted it on like a Twitter stream thing or something, didn't he? And then,
then
put it on YouTube.
Yes.
And then,
I can't remember. Hang on, let's go back to Red's Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, the when I got there. Oh, sorry, Alan, go ahead. Sorry.
It isn't loves the sound of their own voice a synonym for flat earther?
Pretty much, but yeah, it was Twitter have this thing that's called Twitter Space, so you can do these live stream things. But what it's not very good is when you want to say, right, okay, here's a video, here's this, here's that. It doesn't let you present stuff, so that's why Red's live streamed it on his YouTube channel. So for those of us watching in YouTube, we could see the videos he was presenting. The guy he was debating was called Band Notice on Twitter. And it was just so much crap. It was awful. And of course the host, what's his name? Is it Sacred? I think he's called. He just thought Band Notice was brilliant and was presenting all his points, and it's like, no, Band Notice said from the start, I want to come to this debate because I've got positive proof. I've got evidence of a flat Earth, and he hadn't. It's just the same old shit that we've heard time and time and time again. But it basically amounted to Yeah, it was Nutter and God did it, but he's not religious. He kept saying, "I'm not religious, but there's a creator." Were you religious then? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I stayed up until gone 1 o'clock in the morning to listen to it.
So that, yeah. Yes, there's a few of those. So I was going to do the question as just for discussion, chat away. If we get anything useful, I was thinking of putting a video together, but we'll see how we go. So Moldy Tom Tom says it can be explained on FE. My first question is, how high is the sun and the moon then? Because they have to be to form it. Obviously, the sun has to be behind the moon, and they have to be in a position so their angular size is the same.
Yeah, I'd love to know how.
Yeah, so yeah. This is part of the problem, though, is because none of them can actually agree on a model, can they? They've all got different models. Because you hear some people actually say that the sun and the moon are at the same height. Some people say they're not. Some people say that the moon's bigger than the sun. Some people say the sun's bigger than the moon. Some people say they're the same size. So it's like, okay, well, you can't really agree amongst yourselves. So how can you explain an eclipse? You can't.
That's been asked 1,000 times and not answered 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been asked for years how to explain the eclipse, and none of them have.
No, just how high is it? You can't get an answer.
No, you get variations from a few hundred miles to tens of thousands of miles, but not 93 million miles.
Because we know that the size of the shadows of a solar eclipse is sort of have to correspond with that as well, which is another thing, and still have the same angular size. So that wouldn't work. Generally, the shadow is circular too, isn't it, on the Earth? So that also positions where the in relation to the Earth, where the moon and the sun would have to be too. So why do you not get eclipses that are, a big oval, oval shape off to the side? In theory, you'd be getting like
how does a lunar eclipse work?
Right, exactly.
What's getting in the way? If the sun and the moon are going around in circles above our flat Earth, what's getting in the way to form a lunar eclipse?
Yeah, because somebody at some point on a flat Earth is going to be able to see the sun, whereas the other people on the flat Earth can't. You just see what I mean? It just doesn't work. Whereas everybody on the globe is going to see the same thing. Sorry, Alan, go ahead.
I was going to say, farmers. The thing is, remember, according to them, the moon is its own light source. Therefore, a lunar eclipse is simply somebody turning down the bloody rheostat. Let's turn the dimmer all the way down so it's really dim.
Take the A out of lunar, or the first A out of lunar, and also say, and then say
a Launer,
and also
eclipse.
what's in the Y, what's in the way. I think you mean. You want to change that to AY.
I should actually look what I'm typing. I was reading the chat.
And who put the bop in the bop shwop. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
What's in the way of a lunar eclipse? Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the angle, that's the one that always gets me about the on a flat Earth. What height? Because the angles just, I've done that. If you try and match the angles of the sun, it doesn't work both horizontally and vertically. It just doesn't get anything close to matching what we see. No. Well, there
we go. That's Multi Tom Tom is just pulling stuff out of his arse. A lunar eclipse is simply the resetting of its own energy.
Oh, okay.
I hope you're not allowed to use knives.
Yeah, so somebody's just flicked a switch to reset it. It's the reset button on your computer.
I bet his nurse only lets him use a spork.
A spork. So I still don't understand how
a plastic one at that.
Plastic one.
I still can never understand how where I. It's one of my big, proofs. This is you explain this, and then I might believe in flat Earth. How the angle of the sun works where I am, it just doesn't get anything close to like where it should be.
Yeah.
They're.
Hey.
I've still seen the sun, coming up about east, and if you line out the Tropic of Capricorn, there's no way it should be anything close to east at the moment.
Oh, this one actually, I'm going to say is not related to eclipses. However, Simon Dan made a good point, and this one I never actually sort of thought of. Right, if you've got somebody who's in South America, somebody who's in South Africa, and somebody who's in South Australia, they're all looking south, due south, at the southern pole stars. How can they all see the southern pole stars? Because if they're all looking south on a flat Earth, they're looking in different directions, right?
Mm.
So how could they possibly all see the Southern Cross? It's just impossible. It can't. It works on a globe because they're all still looking south, and they can all see the same thing.
Yeah,
in the night sky, right?
That's right.
How is that possible?
That's another question we've been asking for years.
Yeah. Oh, have you?
Actually, it doesn't make sense to call it south on a AE type projected flat Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
You would call it hubward and rimward.
Rimwood, like in Terry Pratchett, yeah.
Yeah.
Which way are we rotating? Widdershins?
It's kind of like, hang on a minute, I'm looking south. No, I'm looking south. No, I'm looking south. Well, one of us is looking south. Which one of us? You can't be looking south because you're looking in the opposite direction. How's that possible? Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we have it. The other thing is, why would we have a circular grid system? Or longitude and latitude wouldn't it be much easier? They just put a grid on, maybe made London 00 and just had a nice square grid system over the Earth. Because you wouldn't need to have a circular one. So, yeah, that's the other one I can never get. Maps would be so much easier.
Yeah.
We've run away. Yes, I did that one.
So many questions that can't be explained. So
many.
We're
going to pay brothers $25 to talk over and deny reality to FTFE. What's that one about? Does anyone know that one about?
What?
No, not aware of that one.
I'm guessing Bro Sanchez maybe required a $25 fee to appear on an FTFE stream.
Oh right,
okay.
yeah.
Probably.
Possibly,
Yeah,
I don't know because I personally never ever watch Craig.
Good old Craig.
I rarely do.
You mean you don't like Craig? I mean, how have I not known this? You know, I can.
Oh, I like him better.
I can switch him on.
You know, I do like Craig slightly better than I like, say, I don't know, Paul Bevan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody likes Paul Bevan.
You do realise you've now opened a floodgate because Craig's got to come and visit us now.
Well, me and Craig had a bit of a falling out on Facebook because I was completely misunderstood by some people. I went on Facebook and I said that, look, wearing your face mask is not going to stop you from getting COVID, and it won't, or not on its own, it won't.
No.
And that's basically what I was saying. I was saying that, you can walk around outside without a face mask without any problem. But if you go into like a crowded space, then that's when you need to wear your face mask. Because walking around, there's no one anywhere near you. It's just not doing anything. And that's all I was saying. And he basically jumped in and started saying, "Oh, you should all wear your face mask and all those. You should, yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be wearing your face mask.
It should be saying about
yeah,
there it is.
And he was trying to tell me that I shouldn't be talking about it. And why are you talking about it? And I said, Craig, I can talk about whatever I want on Facebook. I'm pointing out something that's very obvious, and it's a fact. Wearing a face mask is not going to stop you from getting COVID.
No,
it isn't.
No,
it's just a fact because you can get COVID in so many different ways.
It's going to reduce your risk.
Yeah.
it misses the whole point of why they wanted you to wear the mask. It doesn't stop you getting it; it stops you spreading it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point of a face mask. It doesn't
Yeah.
stop it coming in; it stops it
Exactly.
going out.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get across from people. And This is right at the start of the pandemic because people are completely misunderstanding what a face mask does and what
Correct.
it's meant for. So that's all I was doing. But Craig was like thinking that he's basically pointing out that I was basically an anti-mask and I wasn't. Because I mean, Christ alive, I was volunteering for St John's Ambulance and I was going out transporting COVID patients. I'm pretty sure I know what PPE does. You know, I was just pointing out to people that they're getting misunderstandings, and of course he blocked me after that.
I never felt that guilty towards the end for not wearing a mask because I knew damn well I hadn't got COVID.
Yeah.
You know, if you have enough tests and you know you haven't got COVID, then it's quite safe for you not to wear a mask because you can't give people something you haven't bloody got.
Well, I mean, you know, it doesn't matter whether you got COVID or not. If you're not coughing and spluttering and all the rest of it, then you're not spreading it, right?
Correct.
That's the way I kind of look at it. And then, you know, even if you are testing yourself or not, so that's the whole point of a mask. If you're, you know, I mean, it does offer you some protection as well, but it's
but not
is to stop it spreading. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But it was the whole confidence thing as well amongst people when you're out in the public. If everybody's wearing a mask, you're all playing your part, and it's going to drastically lower the chances of anybody spreading it to anybody else. But some people were getting so up their own backsides about it. You're not wearing a mask. No, I know I'm not wearing a mask, but I'm not coughing and spluttering, and I haven't got bloody COVID. So it's just like it has been for the last 50 odd years of not wearing a mask. You know. Yeah, some people just get a little bit too far.
So Craig took it that I was being an anti-mask and I wasn't, and he basically sort of said I shouldn't be talking about it. And I said no, I'll talk about whatever I want on Facebook. Thank you very much. And he took exception to that and he blocked me on everything. So it's been like that for the last 2.5 years now.
Yeah, well, I would see that as no loss.
No.
Well, not a bit. I mean, I could still see his stuff, but I can't comment on any of his YouTube videos, and I can't comment on his. Yeah, I do have access to his Discord though. That's the only thing I do have access to, and I post my videos on his shills section of it.
Yeah.
Still put it on that from time to time, but yeah, there we go. Anyway, on with the show.
On with the
off
show.
track here.
No, that's fine. It's just trying to provoke some discussion. Wasn't going to masking though, I've got to admit.
Is there a certain irony in Multi Tom Tom's sentence proves ballers are illiterate, spelt BAWLERS?
I'm not.
I mean that just says it all. That four words, and you're calling us illiterate, righto?
Yes.
Timbo, my ADHD is kicking in a little bit. Could you put a gap between the dash and it says, can Timbo spell Tropic of Capricorn?
Oh, I'd be deliberately not looking at that.
It's my ADHD is driving me mad right now. That's it. Put the space in there. No, put the dash. No,
Oh,
put the dash,
no.
then the space. No, that's even worse.
When it goes 1, 2, C. No!
Don't do that. I'm the sort of person that if I walk into somebody's living room and there's one of the pictures that are straight, I go, no, can't look at that. No, don't look at it. It's driving me mad.
I got off topic, but I got to tell you a story. It happened just, I was talking about getting Zoom.
Yep.
Yeah. So I went to order it last night. Yeah. And put it through, went through the whole thing, and then it said, "Oh no, you're having trouble. Can't do it. Try again in a little bit." Okay, so I tried again a little bit. Nah, still can't do it. Can't get it. So I tried quite a few times, and put it aside, tried again. And I went through to check my bank that it wasn't going through. No, it wasn't going through. This morning I found that all of them had gone through.
Oh, no way.
Oh.
So
how many payments?
Well, it's 203 Aussie, and there was about 6-7 of those. And I tried because I couldn't get the full yearly subscription, so I tried the monthly one, and I did about maybe 5 to 7 of those as well. Luckily,
no way.
Luckily, the bank picked it up. I got a note from the bank saying, "Yeah, there's some suspicious transactions going on." And it's okay because the way I set up my accounts is that the worst that would happen, I've got a very small limit on that account. So the worst that would happen would maybe lose a little bit. But I'm sure that when I get onto Zoom, because they're not working over the weekend, so I can't talk to them to try and sort it out. And the funny thing, out of all that money, that's they still haven't upgraded my account.
Yeah, my bank account's quite secure as well because I've had a couple of times I've had attempted fraud, so they've actually got all sorts of red flags on my account. If there's a transaction that goes over a certain amount, I get notified, and they flag it and stuff like that as well. And I have to go through a whole process of authorising it. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but at least I'm protected.
So Alan, should I lose that avatar? Do you think? The one in YouTube.
Hang on.
Oh, yeah.
Matt's an anti-masker. Matt's an anti-masker. Got banning.
I had that when we split up and I was moving in here. I think it was actually the day I'd come and had a look at the place because I was having to buy all sorts of shit, you know. And I can't remember what it was, but the bank phoned me up and said, "Oh, is this suspicious activity? There seems to be an awful lot of money getting spent on your account." I said, "No, that's me. I'm breaking up with my wife and I'm having to buy lots of shit for the house I've got to rent." Oh, okay then. But it's like, it's nice to know that they keep an eye, and if they see anything dodgy, it's like, is this okay? Is this you? Because I have had it in a couple of times where it's I'd ordered something online. And then there was a payment to a car park in London somewhere for a couple of quid. And then there was a £150 lump sums of money that was going out of my account like every half an hour. And I'm actually on the phone to a guy at the bank and I'm saying, I can see it now, it's happening. There goes another £150. Boom, you know. So somebody had cloned my card details and thought, right, let's take him for everything he's got.
Mm.
Yeah. And the bank said no.
I had a friend who'd had some suspicious thing on his account. So, of course, the bank were heavily looking at it. So before he went to Las Vegas, he told the bank.
Yes, good idea. I'm going to Las Vegas.
He arrives at LAX, goes to hire the vehicle, goes to hire his car to drive to Vegas because they went via LA instead of direct to McCarran.
Yeah.
And the bank didn't just decline his card; they cancelled it.
Blimey.
Because of the suspicious transaction that he tried to do in Los Angeles after he told them he was going there.
Jesus wept. That's appalling. Phoning them, contacting them, saying, "Look, to avoid this, I'm warning you now. I'm going to Los Angeles and Las Vegas." And the minute he gets there, no, suspicious activity. Block the card.
Yep, cancel the card.
I can give you a worse bank story than that. As you know, my son was ill with leukemia a couple of times. Well, 3-4 times. So first time it happened, we had to go up to Sydney for a bit, and obviously I wasn't working as much, and had a mortgage and all that sort of stuff. So I went to the bank and went in and saw the manager and said, "Look, this is the case. I just want to get down to interest only. Can we do that for a while so we're not having to pay as much?" And had that all set up. Yes, that was fine. So we went for a couple of years on that, and then once we were able to, we went back and I got it all paid back and got it back up to scratch and was paying. Then when my son relapsed the third time and we were looking to have to do quite a lot more, I thought, this is the case, we're getting to the same situation, so I'll go into the bank and we'll just say, look, we're going through this hardship, can I just go back to interest only? All right, yes, put that in. And then next day, while we're at the bank and in Sydney, I went to get some money out, and I couldn't get any money out of the card. I thought, it's a bit odd. Tried another card, no, card can't do it. Went into the bank, just happened to be open. I went into the bank and I said, "Oh, I can't get any money in my card." He says, "Oh, all your accounts are frozen. You're on hardship." Basically, the bank had decided that, yes, we're now on hardship payments, even though I was just asking for it. And so they said, "Oh, look, we can't do it. You'll have to ring him up." So we ring him up, and I ring up finally get onto someone, and they say, "Oh, okay, yes, you've been put on hardship because you're not paying your bill." I says, "What do you mean we're not paying our bills?" He says, "Oh, you obviously haven't been paying your mortgage, and so therefore they've to." I said, "Go, just pull up my account then." Pull up account. Okay, have a look at. Was the mortgage paid last? Oh yeah, the mortgage was paid last month. Can you check the month before that? Oh, it was paid before that. Check the month before that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can you look at? Can you find anywhere where I haven't been paid? Any bills are owing? Any money over the top? Oh no. Oh, obviously something's wrong here. So yeah, someone had just said, "Oh, we can't pay. We'll put you on hardship." That wasn't what I asked for in the first place. It was just, "Can I?" And it wasn't. You must do this. It was, "Can we do this again?" And
Yeah.
So when we really needed money, and they completely locked us all out of all their accounts.
That's good of them.
And then it took us probably nearly 6 months. Well, we got money back, probably in about 2 weeks later, we actually got them to unfreeze our accounts. But then we were trying to get them to take that off our record, because obviously it was on the record that we had gone into hardship, and we were trying to make them take it off the record to so that it didn't show like their mistake as being our mistake. Mm-hmm. And that was another battle. We eventually, luckily, ran into a friend of a friend who worked at the bank who told us the right people to talk to and got them to take it off. But that's the banks are like. It was just someone saying, "Oh, yep, tick a box on the," because that's literally what someone had told me. All they would have to have done is just tick a box on your thing, and that was it. You're in hardship with no explanation or no. Yep. And
they wonder why people don't trust banks.
Yeah.
Well, how's this for a rot from an internet company? I ordered some metal wine racks, right? $344 for 2 wine racks, plus $81 delivery. And then I got a message a week later via email saying that they couldn't supply the wine racks, and therefore they'd give me a full refund. Then another 2 weeks went past, and I wrote them an email and said, "Well, where's my refund?" And then another 2 weeks went past, and they said, "Good news, here's your refund." And a week later, $344 appeared in my bank account. And I said, "That's not a full refund. They refunded me the price of the wine racks, but they kept the fucking postage, the shipping cost of $81. And I wrote back to them and I said, "Well, can you give me back the rest?" I said, You've charged me for shipping for items that you didn't even actually ship because you never had them." I said, "That's fraud, And I'm still waiting for the $81 shipping refund. Yeah.
Charging for shipping for something you never got.
Yeah. Something that they never even sent in the first place. I mean, they had no shipping expense, so why wouldn't they just give me a full refund?
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault that they didn't have it. They would have shipped it if they would have had it.
Yeah, we're charging you for something that we could have shipped.
Yeah, they could have if they would have had it.
Could have done.
Have a shop that doesn't actually sell anything. You just charge people shipping costs.
Well, that's the best fraud I've heard of is an ad. When they said was just an ad in a paper that says "Last chance, send $5 to this address." That's all it said. And apparently they made $20,000. People just sending $5 to the address, and they couldn't be charged because they hadn't promised anything. They just said last chance.
But Paul, I know a company that used that in the early days of digital photography, they used to sell memory cards at cost, and then charge £10 for next day delivery, when they were paying about £2 for the delivery, for the actual delivery. And they made a really good profit out of doing that. Because,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
because the cards looked so cheap, people would buy a shit ton of them. And of course, they would only sell you one card at a time. So you paid £10. You paid £10 postage every time you wanted a card. They didn't really bundle them together in multiples. But of course, this was back when an SD card, when a 1 gig SD card cost like £80 or £90.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scam's been around forever.
Well, here's one for you. Back on the 9th of April, I ordered 2 things off eBay. One of them is the little mouse track point for my laptop. You know, the one you get in the middle of the keyboard.
Oh, the
That's
IBM.
disappeared. So I ordered a replacement one. It's cost me £2.88. On the same day, I ordered a replacement battery for my Kindle from China. Guess which one I've already got?
The replacement battery from China.
Exactly.
Well,
so one's coming from the UK, and a fortnight later it's not here. One come from China, and they said, "Oh, you'll get it in May." I thought, fair enough, it's coming from China. Turned up the other day. I've already fitted it. It's just fucking ridiculous.
Earlier on, while Lindsay was on, my mouse that came from Amazon was delivered. I barely heard the guy knock on the door. By the time I got up and walked to the front door, the parcel was laying on the doorstep and there was no sign of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they don't hang about.
Nah. I heard about those the other day.
Oh,
I caught him on the way back to the truck. It's sort of like he rang the doorbell. By the time I got there, he'd already put the please come and collect it, and was on the way back to the truck. But I grabbed him luckily.
I've had that with an Amazon guy. He's literally, I'm coming down the stairs, and the front door is literally right opposite our stairs, like 3 steps away from the stairs. So I'm at the bottom of the stairs. He knocks. So it took me about 2 seconds to get to the door. I opened the door, and he's already walking back to his truck as well. It's not even 2 seconds, and it's on the parcel's on the floor. Oh, what the hell? It's like, it gives a bit of time to actually walk out, and also it's raining as well. So luckily, I'd got my parcel in before it got wet. And he's already walking back to his truck. Literally, didn't even 2 seconds to get to the door.
Yeah.
I'm just putting up a quiz to see what we might play next before we have our quiz. For that matter.
What's the video you got? Oh, you got another Everett.
I got that's an Everett. Yeah, but I got a few.
Yeah.
So
should we get on with the show rather than talk about our problems?
No, we can talk about our problems. That's okay.
Everett's just posted another one within the last half hour, I think.
He does. Yes. Yeah, so I've been sort of trying to do them in rough order. But go on. Sorry, Alan.
I was just going to say 12:42. Everett dropped one because
no, he didn't. That's in the future.
Today,
an hour ago,
which is which is 59 minutes still at the minute.
No, you mean that's in the past for you, Timbo? You're ahead of us.
It is in the past, yes. It's all in the past.
Future.
It's like yes, everything's in the past.
Are we in the past or are we in the future?
Well, yes, you guys yelling at me about Normandy Coast. Yes, I think you're in the past. I don't know where that is. I do now. It's all right.
I was going to say, you do now, you should do. I mean, it was only D-Day,
Yeah, well,
the D-Day, not the pale imitations that came afterwards.
I sort of knew it was in, France, this part of France. It's obviously on the coast.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it was the first time we'd ever invaded France by landing on those beaches in Normandy, was it?
No.
I mean,
yeah,
no,
well, I wasn't there, I'm just pointing out.
Neither was I.
Henry V thought it was a good place to land too, didn't he?
Yeah, but of course he was returning a favour because when we was invaded in 1066, where did those buggers come from?
Well, I mean, to be fair, the was it the
Fleur.
the French prince did insult him a little bit, didn't he? Sent him some gift or something which was supposed to be an insult, so he got a bit pissed off with that. Decided to invade, didn't he? Is that how it goes?
Oh, I can't remember.
What film is that? I've seen that film.
No, well, I know that it's written somewhere as well. It's written. It is written.
There was a film. There was a film a couple of years ago on young Henry V, wasn't there?
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. That's quite a good film, right?
Finishing with the battle.
Yes,
and not based on the Shakespeare.
No.
Well, they did have Falstaff in it.
Falstaff.
I thought that was 5. Oh.
Ah, dear. Okay, looks like we're playing tune about the first putting words in Einstein's.
Oh yes.
Oh, you might want to rewind that though.
Yeah, I might.
3/4 the way through.
Yeah, I mean, you think we might get more out of it if we play it from the beginning?
Yeah.
It's
a good video. This I've seen it. It's good though.
How about I put it out to the audience this time?
Yeah,
that would be a good idea. Yeah,
and also turn it up a little bit as well. You got the volume down low.
Are we watching Einstein?
Einstein. Yep. Einstein.
Yeah.
No. It's Frankenstein.
Oh, look, I had some of the right letters in there.
You got to stop typing in public, Timbo.
Yeah. Don't do that anymore. You're not doing yourself any favor.
It's worse. I can speak in public, and I think it's just as bad.
Just can't type in public.
Timbo, can I ask you a mildly personal question?
Go for it.
Because when I was at school, in infant school, and starting to learn to write, I was constantly being harangued by the teachers, and they were complaining to my parents because I would spell incorrectly the same simple sort of 4 and 5 letter words wrong repeatedly, but each time I would spell them a different way.
Yeah, well, that was
on the same piece of paper.
I would get that I would get that. But I also had a teacher who was the first one to realise that if he just sounded out what I said, I was phonetically correct all the time. But I just didn't spell it correct because I was always told in kindergarten you just had to sound it out and spell it how it sounds. That's a lie. Just anyone who's teaching anyone English, that is not true.
Well, to some extent, it just depends. It depends if you follow the rules, then you will spell it correctly, and it is kind of phonetic if you as long as you follow the rules. Yeah,
I'm going to spell fish for you.
Fish. How would you spell it phonetically then? How could you spell fish any other way phonetically? I don't get that.
I just did it.
Just do it with a ph.
I just did it in the screen. That's fish.
How about lead and lead?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Lead.
Yeah.
Lead and lead.
Lead.
Yeah.
Well, I could get those ones. That's easy.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
CHEAUDOX. Kind of.
Should we get on with the video, by the way?
Microfish aren't small fish that swim in the ocean, right?
No. No. They swim in the library. Play.
Lately, there have been a collection of flurfs that have been making the same identical claims about what Einstein thought about the motion of the Earth around the sun.
Einstein himself admitted that the movement of Earth has never been measured, and he didn't think it ever could be measured.
Even Einstein said there's nothing that they can use to even prove the movement, the rotation of the Earth.
You wouldn't know.
Einstein?
Yeah, well,
said he can't detect the Earth's movement from
guy.
Earth. Einstein saying that nobody can prove that the Earth is orbiting, spinning, or chasing the sun.
And here's him saying no optical experiment can prove that the Earth is moving and it could be geocentric.
But could it be true that Einstein actually said this? Well, first, we need to go over a little timeline of events. So in 1887, an experiment was published by Michelson and Morley. It's often just called the Michelson-Morley experiment. In this experiment, they tried to measure the effect of light and its speed as the Earth moved through the ether around the sun in its orbit. Now, at the time, they had a hypothesis that the ether was a medium that light traveled through, similar to how sound travels through air or how waves travel over the surface of water. But the experiment did not come out with the result that they had hoped. It showed that maybe they were wrong about the ether.
By the way,
Einstein saw this and thought about it and said, well, what if there is no ether and light just does what it does, and it has a fixed speed that regardless of how fast you're moving through space, light travels the same speed. Well, that changes everything, and a whole bunch of other stuff then happens because of it. Einstein wrote this down and published it in a paper in 1905 called On the Electrodynamics of Moving Bodies. Today, that is just called special relativity. So then 10 years later, in 1915, he published 4 papers and a few others that are generally considered to be the general theory of relativity. Then, a year later, in 1916, Einstein published a mass market book called On Relativity, the Special and General Theory. This is a copy of that book. And in this book, he describes it as a book for mother-in-law. It's a simplification of the theory of relativity, general and special. It's not heavy in math, though it does cover some of the math, but you won't find the Einstein's field equations in there. Then in 1922, he gave a speech in Japan at Kyoto, and titled How I Created the Theory of Relativity. It's kind of similar to this book. He goes over the history of what he thought about in how he came about the theory of relativity. And then finally, in 1925, there was an experiment by Michelson and Gale and another guy, Pearson, generally just called Michelson-Gale, where they measured the rotation of the Earth using a similar but not same setup as the first one that I mentioned, the Michelson-Morley experiment. Now, there's a couple important things that you need to look at in there. In the 1916 one here, Einstein was talking about the orbit of the Earth around the sun and specifically gave 2 different ways that we know that it's possible, and we actually know that it happens. One is the aberration of starlight, he called it, but we call it parallax. So parallax being when you look at the stars, the ones that are not as distant, and compare them to the very distant stars at one point of the year, and then 6 months later you look at them again, the foreground stars appear to move slightly in relation to the background stars. You can do this by holding out a finger and opening one eye and then the other, and you can see how the view of your finger shifts in relation to the background. He also mentioned that the redshift or Doppler shift of the light that we receive from distant stars is a different amount of shift based on where we are in our orbit. When we're aiming or moving towards them, the red shift is slightly different than when we're moving away from them. So he gave 2 very specific ways that we can know that we are moving around the sun. Now, both of these use light, so you could call them optical. We do them both from the surface of the Earth, so you could call them terrestrial. This is very important that he noted this in 1916. Then in 1922, he gave this speech. And one of the quotes from earlier, you can see this on the screen now, where they kind of misquoted it. And I don't mean kind of, I mean drastically. First of all, there's no context. And second, they chopped the sentence where there's a comma, put a period, and ended the quote. So I will read the full in context quote. Einstein said, "While I was thinking of this problem in my student years, I came to know the strange result of Michelson's experiment." That's Michelson-Morley in 1887. Soon I came to the conclusion that our idea about the motion of the Earth with respect to the ether is incorrect. If we admit Michelson's null result as a fact, this was the first path which led me to the special theory of relativity in 1905. Since then, I have come to believe that the motion of the Earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment, though the Earth is revolving around the sun. And if you look at the quote from the Flat Earther, you will see that the part beginning with the comma was converted to a period, and the part that said, though the Earth is revolving around the sun, was completely omitted. This is a common thing for Flat Earthers. They cherry pick. They take things out of context. To be clear, Einstein is talking about Michelson-Morley type experiments. And this is because of special relativity, the understanding that we have from it. It's because using that type of apparatus, the Michelson-Morley apparatus, it cannot measure linear velocity. So let me explain that apparatus. In the apparatus, there's a light beam, and it's split into two paths, one going one direction, one going the other direction. One goes sideways in relation to Earth's orbit around the sun, and one goes toward the orbit of the Earth around the sun. Now, if you think about sitting on a boat, and at the front of the boat, you can see the waves moving forward off the front of the boat. And they're compressed in relation to the boat. They're not moving away from the boat as quickly as the waves on the side of the boat, and definitely slower than the waves on the back of the boat. That's what they were testing for. They thought that the light traveled through this medium and it would go slower forward, and that they could measure it, measuring linear speed. Now, on a boat, you can do a similar thing. You could just drop a prop down into the water and measure how fast it moves. You go faster, it moves faster. You go slower, it moves slower. Turns out that is not how light works. So Einstein was saying that it's not possible using that type of experiment to measure the movement of the Earth around the sun. But there are distinctions that are very important here, because he was not talking about the daily rotation of the Earth on its axis, because Einstein knew, because more than 50 years prior, the Foucault pendulum had measured Earth's daily rotation. So, and there's other ways to do that. Of course, that is on the Earth, so it's terrestrial, but though that one isn't optical. So it's important to keep in mind that Einstein had a distinction between daily rotation on its axis of the Earth and annual orbit of the Earth around the sun. The Michelson-Morley experiment was specifically trying to measure the difference in to light speed as the Earth orbited the sun. And it's also important to keep the distinction that when he uses the words optical and terrestrial, we're reading that through a translation from German. So that muddies the water a little bit. But very clearly in 1916, he specifically said that there are two ways to measure the Earth's orbit around the sun: parallax and the shift in the color of light. So he did definitely give specific things. So in the nomenclature of flat earthers, that is him saying he can prove that the Earth orbits the sun. So when he comes back later in 1922 and says, I have come to believe that the motion of Earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment, clearly he is not talking about those two specific things. Those are excluded from whatever he means by any optical experiment. And when you look at the context, he is talking about Michelson-Morley type experiments. Now, if you were to say that he was not just speaking about orbit of the Earth around the sun, but also about the rotation of the Earth, and somehow Einstein was dismissing the Foucault pendulum. He never said that. He never said that the Foucault pendulum didn't do anything, so that you'd have to put words in his mouth. But let's imagine for a second. Just take the flat earthers' claim. Well, that was 1922. 3 years later, in 1925, Michelson and Gale measured the rotation of the Earth using a different type apparatus. No, actually, it's a similar apparatus, but it's a different setup. So in 1887, Michelson-Morley measured it by splitting light into an L, and then recombining it when it came back to the origin. And then they saw this shift because the light shifted a little bit as one, they were hoping, as one had took longer time to go on its arm. Michelson-Gale split it and then went in a giant rectangle, both directions. Now, if the Earth rotates while the light is going around in both directions, then the apparatus shifts, and it's a slightly longer path for one of the beams of light and a slightly shorter path for the other beam of light. And again, light travels the same speed. That's what the special theory of relativity says, regardless of the medium. So it would take longer to go around the longer path and less time to go around the other path. And that's what they measured in 1925. So if they were to say that Einstein did not think that was possible, then Einstein was just wrong, which is perfectly fine. He was wrong in other instances as well, though nobody has yet found that he was wrong about general or special relativity. People like to say that they think he's wrong, but they never actually show the empirical evidence that supports it. Well, too bad. You kind of have to do that. So I think that it's very, very important that the flat earthers who make these claims be called out on this, because they are blatantly lying. Einstein specifically gave two things that he said, using their word, proved the orbit of the Earth around the sun. Now, they may disagree with it and they may try to debunk it, but that is a separate point than him saying that he can prove it. So the specific debunk that they try to do, or the rejection that they do, that's a different topic. I'll cover in another video. Make sure you subscribe so that you can watch it when I do that. But flat earthers then also, the second part that's really super important is they constantly misquote Einstein by leaving off the last part of the sentence and then putting words in his mouth. I'll read it again. He said, comma, though the earth is revolving around the sun. Now, that wasn't just him saying that out of blind faith. He gave two specific experiments that measured it. So flat earthers, it's on you to stop lying. But who would believe that a flat earther would lie, right? We don't just say gotta lie to Fleur for no reason. You guys are liars.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That is right. Yeah, I don't know if Muddy Tom Tom's still out there, but yes, don't delete his message just for the fun of it. That's not. I only delete him if they're nasty. Otherwise, we have nothing to comment against.
This is true.
This is true. Paul, I assume you've got a quiz by the sound of it?
I do have a quiz.
Well, I might play, if I can find it, this scary video. I don't think we had this last week about Einstein. I thought it was appropriate. And I'll send some links around and we might do the quiz after it.
Righto.
Righty-ho.
Okay.
True earthers, flat earthers, do not believe we live on a pancake floating in space.
Look at all the fucks I can give.
That was put out there by the Flat Earth Society on purpose to make it look stupid.
No way. I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid.
In order to believe in the heliocentric model, the globe model, it has to be beaten into your head since you were a child.
It's horrible.
Really?
I mean, you hear stories about this sort of thing, but you never think it'll happen to you.
So they steamed your dumplings. Get over it.
They show it to you in movies. They show it to you as logos for AT&T, Paramount Pictures, Universal Studios.
They.
They.
I don't give a fuck.
Every library had a globe. Every teacher's desk had a globe. They just pounded it into your head like a jelly donut.
I still want to know who they is.
So
Yep.
it took
They.
that indoctrination
Them.
They and
to
them.
get you away from
Them.
your senses,
Yeah.
They're related
which
to them.
tell you everything in your body
okay.
tells you we live on a non-rotating plane, okay, with level water and all this stuff.
No! Stop it! You're making the stupid stronger!
Think about when you look up and you see something's a certain shape. You look out, you see something's a certain shape. Does that mean that's what shape you are?
Now, who can argue with that?
Reverend.
NASA's telescopes are lying. They are.
What about everyone
NASA's
else's?
telescope.
To make them look
Yeah,
a certain
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Oh no, NASA put the images inside your telescope
So,
before you buy them.
This is
Yeah.
what flat earthers think the world looks like. Common sense explains time zones.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
When the sun is closer to you, it's daytime. When it's further away from you, it's nighttime. And guess what? This is a big plane. So we experience that at different times.
Cocainum.
Hence the words time zones.
Oh, shit. There goes the planet.
If Einstein's smarter than me, just because he says something doesn't mean it's true.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for letting us know.
Because every test Einstein did, physical experiment, to prove the Earth was a globe and that it was spinning, failed.
Did it?
Well, apparently he knows. He's the expert.
Cannot be unseen.
There you go. So we're all zoomed up.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Grubby Guru,
I'm not.
aren't you?
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not an individual.
Yeah, you've just got to remember to keep me sharing privileges, Timbo.
I do too. I do too. See, if they hadn't have taken the thousands of dollars from me, I could have set it up. So you always have. Hang on. Whoops, lost it. Oh, I had it 2 seconds ago and I lost it. Where are you? Where are you? There it is. Get out there. And share. There you go. Should be right now.
Alrighty. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So that was the Christ Almighty!
Magical world of rectal probes.
Probes. I wouldn't have got that in a month of Sundays.
And do you need an instruction manual how to shit in the woods? Is that necessary?
Apparently. Some people.
Who gets stuck? Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the last one there, how to make money in your spare time. Note the author's name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be his prison number? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the author's name on the rectal probes one too. Yeah, that's quite hilarious.
Oh dear.
Dr. Dick Lickens.
Yeah.
These are all Paul's.
All right.
Anyway.
Books Paul pulls out of his library. I don't know.
Your hard easy high school physics quiz today is all about sound.
Oh, sound.
All right.
Sound.
Yeah, sound. Sound is the topic for today.
on the back.
So in the paragraphs below, options to complete each sentence are given within the brackets. Circle the correct or choose the correct option in each case. So here is your sentence. A loudspeaker is removed from its enclosure box. When an audio signal is connected, the loudspeaker produces sound waves at both its front and rear surfaces. The sound waves from the front of the loudspeaker are in phase, out of phase, or of much higher intensity than. Which one? The waves from the rear. For a listener in front of the speaker, the waves from the front interfere constructively, interfere destructively, or diffract destructively with those generated from the rear surface. This affects the frequency or the intensity or the directional spread of the resulting sound. What are your choices?
This is why we have acoustic engines.
Yeah, well, the first one is since you're just looking at two sides of a piece of paper that is moving in one direction.
Yeah.
The phases have to be out of phase.
Yeah. Why is that, Alan?
Because on one side, the piece of paper, the piece of card, which is what they usually use as the diaphragm, is moving towards you. So it is what we would call in a positive pressure part of the cycle. While
Making
the piece behind
compression.
it's compressing, yes, and of course the piece and relative to where you are, the piece coming in your direction is causing it to be a lower pressure for the sound going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Coming from the
You are
back.
absolutely
of the
correct.
diaphragm.
And that's what we got for the first one. Out of phase for the first one, because when the speaker cone is moving outward, it is creating compression in the front and a rarefaction behind. So it's out of phase. Yeah. What about the second choice? Come on, given the first answer, this should lead into the second answer.
Yes, I know, but it's kind of like, oh, so yeah, you're in front of the. I'm trying to figure out how the sound waves how the relatively directional sound waves from the back of the cone are going to have very much to do with the sound waves coming from the front of the cone. As
All
they're
you've got to
going to be
do
relatively
is
directional.
literally
consider the phases.
Yeah, don't make it too complicated, Alan.
Yeah, don't overthink it,
Yeah.
Alan.
Right.
It's high school, remember?
Yes, I know it's high school.
When you got two waves that are out of phase, they're going to interfere destructively.
That is correct. That's right. Interfere destructively. Wave fronts that are out of phase will interfere destructively. That's as simple as it was. And the third choice?
Intensity.
What will that affect?
Intensity.
Exactly, because destructive interference causes a reduction in the intensity because the amplitude is reduced. There you go. Well done. All right, now we've got a tube here. The tube is closed at one end and open at the other end. And in front of the open end, it's a long, thin, narrow tube, right? So you don't need to worry about the end correction. We've got a loudspeaker, all right? And what they do, they begin the experiment by using a sound of frequency 100 hertz. All I want to know is what is the wavelength of that sound? If you need to, you can assume that the speed of sound in air is 340 meters per second. Anyone know how to calculate this?
Might help if I turn mute off.
Is it velocity over frequency? Is that the one?
340 meters per second.
Yeah.
340 meters per second for the velocity, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know what the wavelength is.
Divided by 100 hertz.
3.4 meters.
Yeah.
Yep, that is exactly right. Using the relationship that the velocity equals the frequency times the wavelength, you put in those figures and you get that the 340 equals 100 times the wavelength. Therefore, the wavelength equals 340 divided by 100 is 3.4 meters. Well done. Okay, same setup.
No, that was
this time, they increase the frequency until the first resonance is heard. Okay, what frequency will this occur at?
Look at the phone.
680 hertz.
What's your reasoning there?
Oh. Because I want a wavelength of 0.5 meters. So that I get the standing wave in the tube.
Okay, now you need to think about what's going to happen at the closed end and at the open end of the tube, right? Remember, at the open end of the tube, the air is free to move. It's free to move in and out of that opening, okay? Whereas at the closed end, the air right next to that closed end is not free to move. Okay?
Yes.
And so you think about what's going to happen at those two extremes. At one end, you're going to get a node, and at the other end, you're going to get an antinode. Okay? And so at the closed end, you end up getting a what you call a displacement node, and you at the open end you get a displacement antinode. And it's the opposite way around if you're considering pressure. Okay, but let's just think of displacement. So you think of the little particles that are vibrating. They're not free to move at the closed end. They're free to move at the open end. Now you've got to think of what part of a wavelength will fit inside the tube for that condition to happen. Right, think of a standing wave. How much of the wave will be in the tube for that condition to happen, to have a node at the closed end and an antinode at the open end? What fraction of the wavelength will fit in the tube?
1/4.
We've got an answer from George Hannes here with a wavelength of 2 meters and a frequency of 170 hertz. Okay, what happens? He's absolutely correct. I'd love to know how he got that answer, but for the first harmonic, this will occur when there is a node at the closed end and an antinode at the open end. This means that the tube length will be 1/4 of the wavelength of the sound, making the wavelength equal to 2 meters, 4 times the length of the tube. So if you actually use that figure then to get the frequency, you end up with that the frequency equals the velocity divided by the wavelength. 340 divided by 2 is 170 hertz. Well done, George Hannes.
Well done, George.
Okay. The next time, what the students do is they keep on increasing the frequency, right? And they hear that first resonance, right? How will they know when they get to it? And why does that happen?
Well, if it's a node at the open end, that will have 0 amplitude, so it will go quiet. So you will tune it. You will tune it so that you don't hear anything.
what happens when something resonates at its natural frequency?
You have a standing wave, so there's no
Yeah, like for instance, if a tuning fork resonates at its natural frequency, what happens to the sound that it makes? If a bridge oscillates at its natural frequency, what happens? Do you want bridges? Do you want bridges resonating at their natural frequency?
Usually the bridge falls over, doesn't it?
It does. It usually self-destructs, doesn't it? What happens is when you have something resonating at its natural frequency, the amplitude of the vibrations increases, right? And so what will happen is it will get louder. You'll hear a loud sound, and that's the whole idea behind musical instruments that rely on tubes for their sound. Is that the frequency of the sound coming out of them depends on the length of the tube and at what frequency it will resonate at. So you get the different notes by changing the length of the tube. And it happens because the sound being reflected from the ends interferes constructively with the sound coming into the tube. And so the amplitude increases, giving you a loud sound. All right. So now what they do is they increase the frequency above the first resonance. At what frequency will they hear the next resonance? Oh, hang on. I've given you a bit of a hint to the answer there, and I didn't put the A to D in.
1/4 or something. Quickly,
I didn't put the A to D in. All I want to know is what frequency will they hear the next resonance? How much of the wavelength will fit inside the tube to satisfy the condition of there being a node at one end and an antinode at the other end this time? You're obviously going to have more than 1/4 of a wavelength because that's the first harmonic.
Yeah.
So what fraction of a wavelength will fit inside the tube for that condition to be satisfied again?
Well, none, because the tubes exploded because it was natural frequency.
All right. The next resonance will occur when there is again a node at the closed end and an antinode at the open end, and that will happen when there is 3/4 of the wavelength within the tube. If you think of it being like a sine wave, starting at the 0 position at the closed end, it goes up to a maximum, back down to a node, and then down to another minimum. And that 3/4 of the wavelength will satisfy those conditions. So knowing that you have the 3/4 of a wavelength in there, that means the length of the tube must be equal to 3 lambda on 4, 3/4 of the wavelength.
Yeah.
And you can calculate what the wavelength would be by rearranging that, right? And then by knowing the wavelength, you can work out what the frequency would be using the relationship you had before. And it turns out that it's 510 hertz. And this is one of the features you have of closed-end tubes, is that for closed-end tubes, you only have the odd harmonics. You get 1/4 of a wavelength, 3/4, 5/4, 7/4, etc. That's what you get for the harmonics, where it's different if the tube's open at both ends.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, you were just talking about the previous question where it got loud when you had the. Surely, as you have the node at the open end, it would be a minima of amplitude.
Depends on which
because you've got the because you just said you've got a maxima at the closed end and a minima at the open end for a standing wave.
Yeah, but what you're talking about there is the actual point of the nodes, though. Remember, the nodes are where there's no movement. of the air particles. But that doesn't happen all the way along the tube, Alan, because in between the nodes, you get maximum movement of the particles. And in fact, being an antinode, a displacement antinode at the open end, means that the air is moving at its maximum amplitude at that open end. And so that's why you get the loud sound there. And it's also because if you think of it like I said, you think of the reflected wave interfering constructively with the incident wave. And so it tends to reinforce, and that's why you get the standing wave in the first place. Okay. And so the amplitude is maximized in that situation. And higher amplitude means higher sound intensity. Make sense?
Kind
of.
My brain is refusing to accept that.
Oh, okay. I'll talk to you about it later.
I'm sorry, Paul. Yeah, I'd like to, because my problem is my brain keeps defaulting to RF.
Okay.
and transmission lines.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
We'll move on.
All right. So now moving onwards. Figure 2 shows the frequency response curve for a dynamic microphone. So here's the frequency response curve for a dynamic microphone. And what I want to know is, from the data on that graph, what makes this microphone suitable for use by a singer? Why is that a good microphone for a singer?
So response is about 200 megahertz.
It's pretty linear then.
Linear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's nicely linear in a range that is pretty much what the human vocal cords can do.
Exactly.
200,
That's exactly
200
the answer.
2 kilohertz.
Yep. That's exactly the answer. The flat section of the graph there represents that it's not going to increase or decrease the amplitude of certain frequencies by any particular amount. It treats them all equally. It's very linear, like you say, and so it's not going to colour the singer's voice. Well done. That's a good answer.
So I can sing if I use that microphone?
No, you don't sing at all ever.
No, absolutely.
No. What microphone you use?
We've heard you try. Don't do it again.
No, it's Alan. Remember, it's Alan that is not allowed to sing because my singing voice is a war crime.
Yeah, it would break the internet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So now we've got 2 sound engineers testing the acoustics of an outdoor performance area. The area consists of a covered stage and an open air seating area, as shown in figure 3. The width of the stage opening is 4 meters. Okay. The sound engineers use 2 signals in turn, one of 200 hertz and one of 5,000 hertz, from a small speaker centrally located at the rear of the stage. The sound intensity level at the center of the seating area at point X, right, with either of the frequencies is 60 decibels, where 0 decibels represents a sound intensity of 1 times 10 to the minus 12 watts per square meter. All right. What is the sound intensity in watts per square meter at point X? Does anyone know how to calculate sound intensity?
Is it as simple as times 60 by the intensity?
What does 60 decibels mean?
That it's louder than no decibels.
Yeah, it's too bloody loud. Turn it down.
It's going to be
now, unless you've done a high school physics course, you're probably not going to know that the relationship that you use to calculate it is this. So given that, do you now know how to calculate the intensity? So the sound pressure level, which is 60 decibels, is equal to 10 log to base 10 of I over I naught. And You use your mathematical knowledge to calculate the intensity from that.
No, because I can't remember how to rearrange the equation right this minute.
Okay, I'll give you a bit of a hint. All right. So I naught, like you said, is 1 times 10 to the minus 12. All right. So when you put that in, you get that. You know how to proceed from there. What are we going to do?
I'm trying to get the sense. Yep.
I've got to get that I on the top by itself. So what do I do?
Of a log. Oh, I haven't done log.
Try dividing by 10 to start with. All right. So you get 6 equals log to base 10 of I on I naught. Now what? How do you get rid of that log to base 10 bit?
Raise both sides to the power of 10?
Or raise 10 to what's on both sides. So 10 to the power of 6, right, equals 1 on 10 to the minus 12. And then, I on 10 to the minus 12, and then multiply by 10 to the minus 12, and you get I equals 1 times 10 to the minus 6 watts per square metre, which is basically what Nerd Alert said, 1 million times more. Well done, Nerd Alert. Okay. Same situation here. Sound engineers now measure the sound intensity of the level of the 200 hertz and 5,000 hertz signals at point Y. Point Y, you can see, is on the side there, and find the levels are different. Which of the frequencies will be louder and why?
Do you have to answer why? Because I could have got a 50-50 chance of getting it right otherwise.
Yeah. Go for it. Really, a one-word answer will suffice here. Yeah. Well, you have to use more than one word to get both parts, but
so it's louder with
which will be louder, the 200 hertz or the 5,000 hertz signal at Y?
I'm going to guess. I'm going to put my neck on a limb, and then the others can jump in and say they would have guessed the other way. 5,000 hertz.
Yeah, well, what's your guess, Timbo?
5,000.
What?
5,000. Yeah, that's the question. Is it which signal?
Yeah, which one will be louder?
The 5,000 hertz signal. That's the second one, isn't it?
Are you just going the opposite of what Nerd Alert says?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like a good option to me, Timbo. Nerd Alert is in fact correct. Well done, Nerd Alert, that low frequencies diffract more. All right. And so they will sort of bend around and spread out from the opening, whereas the higher frequencies are more direct line of sight type things. And so the low frequency will be louder at Y than the higher frequencies, right? Because the spreading out of the wavelengths is proportional to the wavelength over the width of the slit it's going through. And because lower frequencies have a larger wavelength, they'll diffract more.
That makes sense.
All right, moving onwards. This time, same situation. But this time, the sound intensity at X is still 60 decibels. And what they do then is they reduce the output of the small loudspeakers so that the sound intensity level at X is now 51 decibels. What I want to know is which of the following best gives the ratio of the intensity at point X before and after the reduction. So now we're talking about sound intensity, not the sound pressure level. Alan might have a fair chance at this one.
I'm ruling out A because that sounds silly.
Alan, do you know what happens if you double the intensity? How much the decibels goes up by?
3.
Yeah, so if you halve it, what'll happen?
It goes down by 3.
So how much has the decibels gone down by here?
It's gone down by 9 dB, so it's
Which
gone
means?
down by
by what? Each 3 decibels reduction is how much of a reduction in the intensity?
A half.
So that'd be a half, and then another half, and then
Half.
another half.
A half, yeah.
Which is?
I'm sorry, Paul. My brain is not playing with me today very well.
Half of a half of a half.
Half quarter, an eighth. So it'll be C.
An eighth, yeah. So it's C.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
for every 3 decibel reduction, you get half the intensity. If you halve something, halve it again, and then halve it again, you're left with 1/8 of what you originally had. So the correct answer is C, which is 8-1. Okay. And your last question. This time, you assume that sound spreads out evenly in all directions. Which one of the following will be the best estimate of the sound intensity level at point Z? Point Z is twice as far as point X. So if it's 60 dB at point X, what will it be at point Z if it spreads out evenly in all directions?
So inverse square law, double the distance, quarter of the power. So 57 dB. Oh, no.
Put 3 more on it.
Yeah.
54.
There you go.
Yeah. You agree with 54?
Yes, sorry, Paul. Like I said, my brain is just not doing simple mathematics today.
Well, I've given you some exercise for it today, then, Alan.
Yeah, it's just refusing to do to do very simple mental arithmetic.
Yeah,
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I could tell you it was an inverse square law, but I couldn't.
Yeah, you were right with the inverse square
out.
law. So twice the distance means a 4 times reduction in the intensity. And to get that quarter of the intensity, you have to reduce it by half and then reduce it by half
6
again,
dB.
which is 2 lots of 3 dB. So you subtract 6 dB from the original, giving you 54 dB as the answer. There you go. That was a tough one today.
It was.
All right, a tough one because not many people probably really know much about sound.
We didn't.
They're more familiar with the more boring aspects of physics, like motion and material science and a bit of electronics and stuff. But sound sort of isn't really covered all that often. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course,
I was just going to say, sorry, Alan, we'll hold that point for a sec. We've just got about 1 minute left, so we might just sneak back out to Discord before we get kicked out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay,
Righto.
yeah.
That was your quiz for today anyway. There
Thanks,
you go.
Paul. Yeah.
No worries.
Now, sorry, Alan, if you're back in here, you can continue with that question.
Yeah. Paul, one of the things with the equation for the dB question was again, I was okay. Is it 10 dB or 20? Is it 20 log 10 or is it 10 log 10?
It depends on whether
again,
you're talking about. It depends on whether you're
voltage, current,
talking
or
about
power.
pressure or displacement or intensity.
Yeah, and in electronics, it's dependent on whether you're talking about power or voltage or current.
Yeah.
So, because I don't recall doing any sound at all when I did physics at high school, and TAFE for that matter.
Oh, really?
No, I just...
okay.
I don't recall any... Well, definitely nothing relating to that. I can't think of any. No. I mean, some of the concepts...
I can't remember
but
my physics lessons.
We did concepts like about sound waves and that sort of stuff, but no mathematics that I can recall regarding sound at all.
We did a little at A level, but it was a very, very long time ago for me.
I can't remember my physics lessons anymore. I'm just about to picture the classroom we was in, and that was about it. It's just gone. It's
gone. I can. I wrote most of my good programs that I wrote were in my physics class because we had a break afterwards, so I'd write software off the head in physics at the back of the class, and then nick in and type it into the computers.
But
I do remember
enjoy
my physics.
anything.
I remember.
I didn't enjoy any lesson that you'd think would be handy to become an engineer later in life. Except technical drawing. I liked technical drawing, but yeah, physics, chemistry, boring as fuck. They're just gone. Can't remember them.
I like the physics as in this subject. I just didn't like the teacher. So he did.
No, I didn't like the teacher either. He was an arsehole.
He didn't explain things very well and just got us to copy down what he was writing on the board, which I thought was just an absolute waste of time. He might as well just handed out a book and we could have gone and read it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you.
As part of the Victorian physics course, you have to do either an experimental investigation or a sort of like another kind of investigation. Most people choose experimental, and you've got to like spend quite a bit of time on it and write it up like a professional write-up and everything like that.
Yeah.
This one girl, she was titled her experimental investigation the physics of the falling cat. And she was trying to explain how cats, fall and always land on their feet and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But she didn't really spend much time on the investigation.
Experimentation.
And, when she handed it in, it didn't pass. And so it became known as the physics of the failing cat because the tasks were known as CATs or common assessment tasks.
Well, she should have done more experimentation, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Throw some cats out of a window. That'd be fun.
Till the cat gets too pissed off with you. Yeah.
I remember year 11 and 12, and I'm trying to think of how many practical experiments we would have done in physics, and this is why I didn't like the teacher. I reckon maybe in 2 years we maybe did 3 practical experiments in that entire time in physics.
Holy shit. No, you're supposed to do one every couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like it. And then I did physics again in when I was doing TAFE, and that was only, we did more in, it would have only been maybe 8-10 weeks or something rather. We did more in that time than we did in the 2 years I did at school. So, yeah.
I mean, at the university, we used to send we send our students down to the physics lab to do a whole half day of experimentation once a week, literally.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes since the high school is, particularly New South Wales, because I did New South Wales. Very different, because I've taught a lot of kids about other stuff, and had questions about what they're doing. Yeah, the examination is much better than it was when I did it, I got to admit. It's also not on one day, which is the other thing. Our exam was one day, and if you failed that one exam on that one day, that was it. 2 years came down to that one exam.
At one of the universities I taught at, the people that were in charge of preparing the experiments for the first year students were Latvians, and they used to hide in the back room of the physics storage and cook their little Latvian meals on a little burner thing, and you could always smell it.
No, most of my upper school stuff those last 3 years have just been lost to the mists of time. Because to be quite honest, I hated just about every moment of it. My constant complaint was, you keep treating us like bloody kids. They kept saying, you are kids. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Okay, well, we've got to do our certification for the week, so you can do it in long distance calls, on making airships, or induction, or magnetism. Anyone got any preferences?
What's that? Say again. What was that?
This is your become an expert for the week by watching a short YouTube video.
Oh yeah, so I'm a qualified pilot and I got a PhD in physics. What was the choice again? I want this.
Learning how to do long distance calls across America, how to make an airship, induction or magnetism.
Oh, what about building an airship? What about that?
Yeah, airships are fun.
Yeah,
airships have some very interesting physics in them.
Don't care about the physics. I just want to fly one.
Having the drawing boards, plans
Yeah,
for a
Chris,
10
about
million
the
cubic foot rigid airship.
Is it? Let me just close some of these. Too many things open. Okay. Put this out to the masses. You guys are still looking at my... What have we got going on in Discord? I can't remember now. You still seeing my share?
Yeah, we can see screen.
Okay, good. Thanks. Couldn't remember what I was up to. Okay, here we go.
Designers now have on the drawing boards plans for a 10 million cubic foot rigid airship. The major use of such a ship, in either military or commercial service, would be on long overwater hops. It will have a top speed of 90 miles an hour. At a cruising speed of 75 miles an hour,
looks CGI
it
to
could
me.
cover 6,000 miles non-stop with a payload capacity of 90,000 pounds. Over a 4,000-mile route, the payload would be 130,000 pounds. This represents a carrying capacity of more than 300 combat troops, or more than a dozen fighter planes, or over 200 hospital patients. As a commercial ship, it could provide 232 passengers with Pullman-like accommodations, or well over 100 passengers with all the comforts of a luxury liner, but free from seasickness or air sickness. Comfort is one of the rigid airship's greatest contributions. Accommodations would include staterooms, promenade decks, lounges, library, restaurant, and bar. The unique ability to pick up and land passengers or cargo en route, already proved by the Akron and Macon, will be an additional facility of these ships.
I actually
The
did
proposed
get that
ship
to
will,
work.
of course, contain
Yes.
helium, so that a disaster such as the Hindenburgs could never happen again. Even with hydrogen, the safety record of commercial rigid airships surpasses that of any other form of transportation. Over 51,000 passengers carried more than 1.25 million miles with not a single casualty until the Hindenburg fire.
I
The
don't
airship's
believe
place
that's
in
true.
commerce will fill
Neither
the
do
great
I.
gap between the slow surface
Because the
vessel and the
R101.
fast airplane.
Yes.
It provides the greatest comfort at costs lower than airplane travel.
Somehow I don't think
The
that was quite
records show that
representative
the
of how
airship is
plane
feasible,
to
safe,
airship
and
travel is.
economical. Airships have been of definite military value and of commercial benefit. The United States has the know-how, the industrial capacity, and a nucleus of experienced airship personnel. Above all, we are the only country with an abundance of helium, the one completely safe lifting gas. These advantages, combined with the recognized lessons of the past, can readily make the United States the world leader in airships of the future.
There you go.
And you know why? Since they stopped using hydrogen, started using helium, that there's been no commercially successful large rigid airships.
No,
because helium only gives you half the lifting capacity of hydrogen.
Well, but well, I think the other thing it may have had to do with that incorrect graphic of the plane casually overtaking the speed of the airship. There's a bit bigger difference than that in the speed of air travel versus airplanes versus airships.
At the time that would have been made, not particularly. I mean, if you could get an airship to cruise at 90 knots, most aircraft that you would have been able to hangar and fly out of there would have only been doing at the most probably a couple of hundred knots. So flat out.
Yeah, but that's still twice. But
yeah, but the cruise is likely to be, the difference between the cruise on the two isn't that hugely different.
Yeah.
And of course, aircraft back then didn't really have much in the way of aircraft that would do the Atlantic in a single hop like an airship would.
Not for a while, but they quickly caught up, and I think that's the big difference. Particularly by the time the Second World War had finished, then you were having.
So I'm qualified. I'm qualified to fly a Tiger Moth. I'm now qualified to captain an airship. I'm doing well.
Well, for the U.S. Navy too, because that was the U.S. Navy film, by the way.
Yeah. I'm qualified in those.
It's just a little bit of propaganda in there. Do you think maybe?
Yeah.
Small amount.
Small amount. I think that was just before Second World War. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. The U.S. Navy did actually have the Akron successfully launching and recovering effectively small fighter aircraft.
Yes. Yes, we might pick on it. So, what do we got to finish off? Because getting close to midnight here. I do have a few things listed on myself. I'll save the magnetism stuff for next week. Where's my list gone? There it is. I'm just looking at what have we got that's short. Creaky's a bit long. We did Wally. Yeah, we can finish off with this. We got Platoon.
What about a bit of Dan? Bit of Simon Dan.
Simon Dan?
Dan.
He's not on my list.
Yeah.
Timbo's gone off Dan.
Yeah, went off
Gone
Dan.
off Dan, have you?
Yeah,
Gone off Dan. Or even Tim Ford Tuesday. What's wrong with Tim Ford Tuesday?
He has had a bit of a resurgence, but for a while there it was a bit flat. I've got to admit. He has put out something recently that I haven't played. I'm just having a quick look because he does have shorts. You guys can see, you can't see that out there. I'll put this out here. We can do him running. He's not running. Videos. Okay. Well, are flatters taking over TikTok? Well, we know the answer to that. They've moved away from Watty and gone to here.
Best thing you do is I think he's got Tinfoil Tuesdays in the playlist. I think if you go to playlist, if you want to avoid Flat Earth, I think, isn't he? No.
Misconception Minis.
Don't know if he has or not. Maybe he doesn't.
Sure. Tinfoil Tuesday playlist.
No, there you go.
This is full playlist.
I don't know if this is the most recent or not. When was this? When was that one?
This one? Don't know. This one is... You got a title? No, just Tinfoil Tuesday. We'll start off with here.
Moon landings absolutely happened. Oh, there you go.
4 years ago. This must be the first Tinfoil Tuesday.
You would think so,
yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah.
We'd have to go click.
The other way around. What are you doing?
Oh, I don't know.
What?
It's gone off.
What are you doing?
It's run away.
What are you doing?
It's taken away from me. Something's taken control.
You've got the playlist in the reverse order. You just need to turn it around. That's all. Or scroll down. No, over on the right. Over on the right. No, the right. Right hand side. There you go.
Tinfoil Tuesday. Well,
going off half cocked.
There we go. So, was that it? The worst double act on the internet?
I think you've already played it by the looks of things. When was that?
Yeah, but I
When was
might
that?
have just watched it.
When Conspiracy Cat started on YouTube, he took on a couple of wannabe scientists named Peter and Pete. He loved making...
Yeah, we played that last week.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
And this was 6 months ago, by the look of it.
This one?
Yeah, look.
Oh,
it
so
says
there's more.
somewhere in that. It says 6 months ago.
What's going on with the? Why is your playlist all up the?
I
left?
know I said Santos would be on today.
I don't know.
No, don't worry about it. Just do down.
Lady thinks
Don't worry about
the
down
moon is
there.
a spaceship. That one was recent because that was the last one, I think. This one.
I know I said Santos would be on today for Tinfoil Tuesday, but I've got a few more things to do on that video before I can release it. So
think I've
today I have found another interesting theory regarding Earth. Not that it's flat, the people propagating this particular theory do think the Earth's a sphere, but...
Yeah, no, I watched this one. Sorry. Okay. How about we've got another Everett. What was Everett up to? He just dropped one. Let's see what he's got. Everett. Flat Earth newbie. Here we go.
As of yesterday, I am officially on board on the flat Earth conspiracy theory. The flat earthers' arguments are very hard to
Listen
dismiss.
to? Oh, no.
Don't be ridiculous. Like, if you are capable of stepping outside of conformity and thinking outside of the box, you will come to the same conclusion too. The Earth really is flat.
Hey, what time is it? It's medication time.
I get a feeling she's already over medicated.
And it's so mind-bending. Right now I'm going through some like deep shadow work. Like my brain is just like, wow.
This is the Cuckoo Choo Choo, now leaving on track 9. Lullaby!
My whole life I've believed in a globe Earth, and suddenly now the Earth is flat. And what does that really mean?
Doesn't mean you knew what the globe Earth was, you just believed in it.
Like, because I've studied Kabbalism and the Tree of Life, and they talk about these
Ah,
layers.
it's good. So, science. Good, yeah.
C'est un détecteur de conneries.
Allez-y.
Allez-y quoi?
Dis-tu nos conneries?
It's like that might be. I don't know. It's hard to say, but there's definitely a firmament. NASA, is supposedly landing on the moon, but then now they lost all that technology and they can't land people on the
No,
moon.
they didn't lose it
This
at all.
conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.
Al?
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 Open the
Spending $93 billion this year. It's just a bullshit scheme to suck money out of this. They know that they can't get through the firmament.
Quiet, infernal bird!
That's why when we see rockets from SpaceX launch, we see them hit the firmament.
The girls want to lose that bird!
I'll tell you, years ago, I worked in a nursing home and I took care of a lady, and she always talked about working on this set that recorded the moon landing. And now all of it makes sense. It's crazy.
Of course.
Yeah, that's a lie.
God bless it. I actually laughed at that.
Why do things fall?
I insist that you torture me any way you see fit!
Oh, that we can do.
Nature has its own up and its own down.
God, I don't know what to do. My whole brain is crying. Guys!
Basically, what goes up or down is determined on how dense its matter is.
Holy shit!
Holy shit! If it's more dense than air, then it will go down.
What happens if it's not in
If
air?
it's less dense than air, then it will go up. So, like helium or whatever. I'm just saying.
Oh man, there was such a point in all of that.
I just ask him up and
It was so pointy.
Yeah.
Vacuum chambers are a thing.
I always ask him that question, why up, or why down, and you always get, cause. It was like that was the whole point in the first place, was why down, and so we went along the path.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you complicate even further when you say, okay, we'll put your falling objects in a vacuum chamber. Oh dear, that's a problem.
It is.
That doesn't work then, does it?
No.
Then you get all sorts of weird and wonderful answers then.
But they say that with the vacuum changer, there's no density, so therefore it's going to fall down. Everything's going to fall down.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There is no density. Density switched off in a vacuum chamber.
Yes.
And anyway, why is it that the denser than air stuff falls towards the denser part of the air, not the less dense part of the air?
Yeah, exactly. That's the other one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah, why is it not going up then? In which case, then what's going on?
Yes, that's a big one, that one.
Yeah, that don't work either.
We're just hitting midnight. I think we might say goodnight.
No, it's not.
It is.
No,
I
it's
can
not.
tell. Definitely is.
No, it's not. It's only 3 o'clock.
In the more advanced part of the world, it is anyway.
Convicts.
Yeah, get off our Wi-Fi. Yes. Now, enough of that. Getting on to saying goodbye to the Peanuts. Thanks, Peanuts, for coming. There's been quite a few came out tonight. Glad to see you all.
Peanuts.
Peanuts. And, another stream next Wednesday. We'll take it from there. Okay. Good night, Peanuts.
No.
Good night, Peanut.